Chapter 16:20. My God, what a terrifying sword Dao Qi. What kind of great figure left behind this sword wall? How can it be so terrifying? I wonder if this sword wall can be comprehended. I feel that the sword Dao conception contained in this sword wall is extraordinary. If one can comprehend it, it will definitely be a great opportunity. Many experts from the major powers came to the sword wall. They were deeply shocked by the several hundred feet tall sword wall that was engraved with ancient sword Dao patterns. There were even some who sat directly under the sword wall and tried to comprehend the Dao intent contained within the sword wall. However, when they released powerful soul power to penetrate the sword wall, they felt their souls tremble. It was as if thousands of swords were piercing through their souls. They were so scared that they turned pale and gave up on comprehending it. Sword wall, I didn't expect that there would be such a good thing in this secret realm. Tianji Dao heard the news and rushed over. He was deeply attracted by this mysterious sword wall. Although the sword wall in front of him was not a heavenly saint tool, when Tianji Dao looked at this sword wall, he felt that the sword wall was comparable to a heavenly saint tool. If he could move this sword wall and put it in the Azure Sky Clan, this sword wall would definitely be the most precious treasure of the Azure Sky Clan. Hand of Heaven, rise for me. Tianji Dao leaped high into the air, and his heavenly Dao diagram merged with his saint power. It transformed into a giant hand that seemed to cover the sky and earth. It grabbed the sword wall that was dozens of feet high. It was engraved with ancient patterns, and it wanted to take it for itself. Ka ka ka. The moment the giant hand grabbed the sword wall, a large number of sword Dao runes gushed out of the sword wall and attacked the giant hand at an extremely fast speed. The terrifying sword power forcibly shattered the giant hand formed by the heavenly Zhi Dao. In the next moment, the ancient runes on the sword wall seemed to come alive and turned into invincible divine swords that slashed towards Tianji Dao. Seal of Heaven. Tianji Dao quickly formed seals with his hands, causing the surrounding heavenly power to surge and turn into a powerful seal of light. It bombarded the invincible divine swords formed by the sword wall and forcibly shattered them. When heavenly Dao relied on his absolute strength to forcefully break through the sword wall's attack, a white light that was as refined as the Milky Way gushed out from the sword wall, transforming into a giant sword that was dozens of feet long. The terrifying sword light was unparalleled, shocking the world. What great power! Sensing that the space in front of him could not withstand the attack of the sword and was cracking continuously, Tianji Dao's expression changed slightly. He summoned a top-grade, true Spirit Saint artifact and held it in his hand, defending with all his strength. Firmament Sword. With a slash of his sword, the power of the will of the way within Tianji Dao's body reached the pinnacle. A shocking sword ray with the power of the heavens ruthlessly pierced the invincible giant sword transformed from the sword wall. Kacha, kacha! The two divine swords slashed together, and the resulting power continued to shake and crack the space. The terrifying power shook the surrounding crowd and forced them to retreat. There were even many disciples who were not strong enough, and their faces turned ashen as they collapsed to the ground. When Tianji Dao used the firmament sword to forcefully block the second sword formed by the sword wall, an even more powerful sword light descended from the sky like a mountain of swords. It slashed towards Tianji Dao at an extremely fast speed. Clear Sky Wheel. Tianji Dao felt that the power of this sword was dozens of times stronger than the second sword. He didn't dare to be careless. He decisively summoned the Blue Sky Wheel, a low-grade, transcendent divine artifact, to block in front of him and take the attack head-on. Boom, boom, boom. When the sword mountain slashed on the Blue Sky Wheel in front of Tianji Dao, it immediately produced a terrifying, explosive power. Tianji Dao's body trembled slightly, and he kept retreating. Before Tianji Dao had a chance to take a breath, the sword wall evolved another powerful sword mountain and slashed at Tianji Dao, forcing him to give up the head-on confrontation and retreat awkwardly. Boom! The moment Tianji Dao dodged, the place where he had just been was full of cracks, and the ground within a radius of 1 mile was even cracked. The terrifying aura scared the crowd, and they all retreated thousands of meters. No one dared to approach this terrifying sword steel. Patriarch, are you all right? Looking at Tianji Dao, who was retreating with blood at the corner of his mouth, several masters of the Green Sky clan immediately flew over and asked with concern. I'm fine. Tianji Dao wiped the blood at the corner of his mouth and stared at the sword wall gloomily, showing annoyance. He didn't expect the sword wall to be so powerful. With his strength of 1-star divine realm, not only could he not shake the sword steel, but he was also repelled by the sword principle evolved by the sword steel. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Just as Tianji Dao stared at the sword wall and thought of a way to subdue it, a sword cultivation genius from the 9 Clearances Mountain suddenly heard the sound of a sword chime. The next moment, he took the risk to approach the sword wall. Resonance. This guy can actually resonate with the sword wall. Seeing that this sword cultivation genius from the 9 Clearances Mountain was not attacked by the sword wall, but resonated with the sword wall, many people were shocked, and some people even showed envy. Buzz, buzz. Just as the sword cultivation genius from the 9 Clearances Mountain walked to the sword wall, sat on the ground, and comprehended the sword wall, several sword cultivation geniuses from various forces in the Qinyan realm resonated with the sword wall, walked to the sword wall boldly, and comprehended the sword meaning contained in the sword wall. Whoosh! Looking at the sword cultivation geniuses sitting cross-legged under the sword wall, Tianji Dao frowned slightly. Using the same method, he unleashed the sword principle concept that he had comprehended to the extreme and soon resonated with the sword wall. He wasn't attacked by the sword wall again and slowly walked to the sword wall. As everyone comprehended, the ancient patterns carved on the sword wall seemed to come alive and released sword light, which constantly merged into the bodies of the sword cultivation geniuses. When these sword Dao geniuses fused with the power of the sword wall, some revealed excited expressions, some frowned, and some revealed pained expressions. From the expressions of the disciples, it was easy to tell who had a deeper understanding of the sword Dao, because Tianji Dao's understanding of the sword principle was the deepest. When he comprehended the sword wall, the sword patterns on the sword wall merged into his body the most, and he benefited greatly. Just as the heavenly path occupied about 70% of the falling sword veins, an ordinary-looking man in a white robe appeared under the sword wall. And this person was Yi Chenfeng, who had used the illusion Dao insight to transform his appearance. Looking at Tianji Dao from afar, Yi Chenfeng slowly closed his eyes and controlled the god-devouring brain to quickly deduce, releasing a powerful soul power into the sword wall. In the next moment, a dazzling golden light shone from Yi Chenfeng's soul sea, and the golden sword soul slowly appeared, floating above his head and resonating with the sword wall. Under the guidance of the golden sword soul, the sword patterns that should have flowed into Tianji Dao's body immediately rushed to the golden sword soul, and suddenly Tianji Dao, who had comprehended the sword wall, was awakened. Damn it, you're courting death. The process of comprehending the sword wall allowed Tianji Dao to deeply understand the profoundness of the sword wall. He had a feeling that if he continued to merge with the sword patterns on the sword wall, his understanding of the sword principle would reach a higher level. But now, at the critical moment, he was disrupted by Yi Chenfeng. This made him very angry, and he immediately pointed at Yi Chenfeng, wanting to kill Yi Chenfeng. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The moment Tianji Dao attacked Yi Chenfeng, a large number of invincible divine swords once again evolved from the sword wall. While shattering Tianji Dao's attack, they slashed at him, forcing him to retreat repeatedly in a rather embarrassing manner. And Yi Chenfeng turned a deaf ear to all of this. He was completely immersed in the process of comprehending the sword wall, unable to extricate himself. Chapter 16:21. F***CK. Who is that brat? Does anyone know him? Tianji Dao glared at Yi Chenfeng, who had ruined his plans. He wanted nothing more than to cut Yi Chenfeng into pieces. I don't know him. In the vast expanse, esteemed Tianqing and the others shook their heads. Brat, you dare to disturb my cultivation? When you finish comprehending the sword wall, it will be the time of your death. Tian Jidao looked at Yi Chunfeng viciously as he gritted his teeth and swore in his heart. After a simple adjustment, Tian Jidao quickly deduced the profound sword Dao. He walked back to the sword wall and continued to comprehend it. However, because of the existence of the golden sword soul, Tian Jidao could no longer fuse the sword Dao runes like before. At this moment, only 1/10 of the sword Dao runes had fused into his body. As for the other sword Dao geniuses, they didn't even have 1/10 of the sword Dao runes. Almost 80% of the sword Dao runes have been fused into the golden sword soul. This made Tian Jidao and the others furious, but there was nothing they could do. PFFF. Just as a sword Dao genius was distracted and cursing Yi Chunfeng in his heart, his sword heart was suddenly broken. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. He fainted on the spot. As time went on, a thin layer of white light appeared on the surface of the golden sword soul that had fused with a large number of swordway inscriptions. The power in the sword soul rapidly increased, showing signs of metamorphosis. If the golden sword soul transformed further, it would become an even more terrifying heaven sword soul. Its power would be comparable to a transcendent saint artifact. What is that place? Just as Yi Chunfeng was controlling the God-Eater brain to deduce and comprehend the sword wall, he faintly felt a mysterious space appear in the sword wall. However, this space was very floating and the God-Eater brain couldn't capture it. God-Eater brain, speed up the deduction. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and pushed the God-Eater brain's deduction ability to the limit. It focused on the sword wall and tried to capture the floating space gate in the sword wall. Under the God-Eater brain's tens of thousands of deductions per second, Yi Chunfeng gradually captured the space gate. Through the space gate, he could faintly sense a new space. Could it be that there is a hidden space within this sword wall? The sword Dao outline that I'm looking for is in this space. Thinking of this possibility, Yi Chunfeng tried to lock onto the space gate. However, although he could sense the gate, he could not lock onto it. Helpless, he could only continue to comprehend the sword wall and control the God-Eater brain to lock onto it again and again. Golden sword soul break. Yi Chunfeng didn't know how many times he had failed, but he persisted and locked onto the floating gate nearly 10,000 times. Finally, he locked onto the floating gate. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng controlled the golden sword soul, which was constantly transforming, to escape into a special trajectory and attack the gate at an extremely fast speed. Buzz! After being attacked by the golden sword soul, a crack appeared on the mysterious space gate. Yi Chunfeng could clearly sense the teleportation power coming from the space gate. Sword wall, spatial transmission. Yi Chunfeng quickly deduced the God-Eater brain and controlled it to guide the teleportation power from the gate into his body. Buzz! A large amount of white light shone out of the sword wall and enveloped Yi Chunfeng. Then, under the gaze of many pairs of dazed eyes, Yi Chunfeng mysteriously disappeared under the sword wall. Where is he? Where is that kid? Seeing Yi Chunfeng mysteriously disappear, Tian Jidao's eyes widened and his face revealed his annoyance. He had a feeling that Yi Chunfeng should have discovered the secret of the sword wall and entered it. If Yi Chunfeng hadn't been there, Tian Jidao believed that the opportunity in the sword wall would have been his. Just as Tian Jidao was enraged, the golden sword inscriptions on the sword wall gradually dimmed, and the sword inscriptions stopped descending. Seal this place. I want that kid to be unable to escape, even if he has wings. Tian Jidao roared angrily. Where's this place? Yi Chunfeng passed through the gate and found himself in an ancient hall. The stone pillars emitted a mottled aura. In the center of the hall, there were 108 divine swords circling around. In the center of the divine swords, there was a simple and unadorned stone sword that was 3 meters tall. Although this stone sword looked ordinary, Yi Chunfeng felt his soul tremble when he looked at it. He had a feeling that this stone sword wanted to kill him. Even if he hid in the universe realm, it would be useless. Junior, are you not a disciple of the ethereal heaven sect? As Yi Chen-feng sized up this terrifying stone sword, a deep voice sounded in his ears. Junior is a disciple of the ethereal heaven sect. Yi Chen-feng reported as he slowly circulated the ethereal sword codex. Ethereal sword codex. I didn't expect that the sword codex that I passed down in the past would finally have an owner. The deep voice sounded again. Senior, I believe you are the guardian of the sword principle, general principles. Yi Chen-feng took a deep breath and said, Oh, you actually know about the sword principle, general principles. The deep voice sounded surprised. Where did you learn about the sword principle, general principles? Junior learned about the existence of the sword principle, general principles from my father. Yi Chen-feng said truthfully. As soon as Yi Chen-feng finished speaking, a sword light suddenly shot out from the stone sword and pierced towards Yi Chen-feng. Yi Chen-feng was unable to dodge the sudden attack of the stone sword. He could only stand there in silence and allow the sword light to pierce into his body. Whoa! The moment this terrifying sword light pierced into Yi Chen-feng's body, the chaos divine would swayed for a moment. The terrifying chaos force forcefully shattered the sword light that pierced into Yi Chen-feng's body. What treasure do you have in your body? The deep voice asked in surprise. Senior, everyone has their own secrets, don't they? Also, I can promise you that if Junior obtains the sword principle general principles and improves my strength to the extreme one day, Junior will definitely make the ethereal heaven sect the #1 force in the nihility zone. Yi Chen-feng changed the topic. Seems like you have a lot of secrets. The deep voice said, However, it is not easy to obtain the sword principle general principles. You must pass my test, but if you fail, you will die here. Junior is willing to accept the test. Yi Chen-feng said resolutely. Junior, I see that you have cultivated the gold sword soul. My test for you is to cultivate the gold sword soul to the heaven sword soul within a month. If you cannot do so, I will take your life. The deep voice said, Is there a sword principle essence that can be comprehended here? Yi Chen-feng asked. Yes, in this month, you can comprehend the sword principle contained in the stone sword and transform your sword soul. The deep voice said, Junior, can I start now? When he had just comprehended the sword wall outside, his gold sword soul had already begun to transform into a heaven sword soul. The sword principle in the stone sword was even more profound. Yi Chen-feng believed that he could definitely cultivate his sword soul to the heaven sword soul realm within a month. Yes, good luck. After that, the deep voice disappeared. Streaks of mysterious sword patterns appeared on the surface of the stone sword. Staring at the sword patterns on the surface of the stone sword, Yi Chen-feng took a deep breath and sat cross-legged under the stone sword. He closed his eyes and controlled the God-Eater brain to comprehend. Chapter 16:22. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Yi Chen-feng controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce at an extremely fast speed. When he released his powerful soul energy into the stone sword, he suddenly felt a powerful Tao insight surge into his sea of soul, and it shook his soul to the point it trembled. Strands of blood flowed out from his 7 apertures. God-Eater brain, suppress the soul. Enduring the pain in his soul, Yi Chen-feng controlled the God-Eater brain to suppress the power of Tao rushing into his sea of soul. He quickly comprehended the Tao of the stone sword. The God-Eater brain had evolved again and again, and its deduction ability was constantly improving. In addition, Yi Chen-feng had comprehended the heaven-level origin Tao tablet not long ago. It was not difficult for him to comprehend the Tao of the stone sword. After the God-devouring brain's rapid deduction, Yi Chen-feng's understanding of the stone sword's Tao grew deeper and deeper. The white light emitted by the golden sword soul grew deeper and deeper. The golden sword soul continued to transform into a heaven sword soul. Soon, half a month had passed. Damn, it's been half a month. Why hasn't that kid come out yet? Could he have died in there? That's very possible. With that kid's strength, how could he have gotten the rare opportunity in the sword wall? Maybe he's already been beheaded. The experts of the various factions have been waiting outside the sword wall for half a month. They gradually became impatient and guessed that Yi Chunfeng had met with misfortune. However, Tian Jidao's face became gloomier and gloomier. For some reason, he had a feeling that Yi Chunfeng, who had mysteriously entered the sword wall, was not simple. He could not wait endlessly. He had to find a way to enter the sword wall and seize the rare opportunity that was supposed to belong to him. Overseer Tsang, Guru Tianqing, Sage Leader Jin, can we join forces to attack this sword wall? As long as the three of you agree, when the old patriarch kills that fiend god, I'm willing to give each of you a semi-transcendent saint artifact. When he thought about how terrifying this sword wall was, Heavenbound Taoist had no choice but to ask the vast expanse trio for help. Okay, it's a deal. The eyes of the three of them lit up. In their opinion, if the old clan leader of the Qing Sky clan came, the demon would be useless no matter how powerful he was. Let's go. Tian Jidao roared as he summoned the Azure Sky Wheel, infusing it with boundless saint power and heaven-level will of the way. He controlled the Azure Sky Wheel to continuously expand and attack the sword wall. Buzz, buzz, buzz. After being attacked by the wheel, the sword runes on the surface of the sword wall seemed to come to life. They turned into unstoppable divine swords that slashed through the sky, the void, and everything. They attacked the Azure Sky Wheel, shattering its attack. Boundless Expanse Blade. By Zhong. Saint Golden Stone. As heaven-reaching Tao attacked, the vast expanse's group of three summoned their semi-transcendent sage items and used them to attack the sword wall. They did everything they could to shatter the invincible swords and destroy the sword wall. However, the fearsomeness of the sword wall was beyond the imagination of Tian Jidao and the others. The four of them attacked with all their might, but they were unable to suppress the attacks of the sword wall. Gradually, the consumption of the four of them became greater and greater. In the end, an earth-shattering sword mountain broke through the sword wall with endless destructive power and slashed towards the four of them. Although Tian Jidao had managed to block Jian Shan's destructive attack with the help of the Blue Sky Wheel, the power of this attack was simply too great. The three of them had consumed a great deal of energy and were sent flying by the terrifying aftershocks, crashing into the distant forest. Damn it, how can the sword wall be so powerful? Heaven-reaching Tao could not believe that the four of them were still injured by the sword wall. He was more and more eager for the opportunity hidden in the sword wall. How can we break the sword wall, enter it, and take away the opportunity? Heaven-reaching Tao healed himself as he tried to think of a way. Soon, more than 10 days passed. When it was almost a month's time, Yi Chunfeng, who was sitting cross-legged under the stone sword, suddenly opened his eyes. The sword soul that was enveloped by a layer of white light was like a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon. It broke through the white light and turned into a heaven-ranked sword soul. Senior, I have cultivated my sword soul to heaven rank within the time limit. I should have passed the test, right? Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and said to the invincible stone sword, Junior, you are really not bad. The deep voice could not help but praise. You should know that the difficulty of my test is extremely high, but you have easily completed it. It seems that you are indeed qualified to inherit the general principles of Sword Tao. Thank you, Senior. Yi Chunfeng was delighted. Don't be happy yet. Before I impart the general principles of Sword Tao to you, you have to help me drive away the flies outside. You can't let them continue to disturb me. The deep voice said, Senior, this junior is only a level 6 Tao Emperor, but there are 1-star heavenly gods outside. With this junior strength, I am not their match. Yi Chunfeng said with difficulty. No problem. I will lend you my strength. As it spoke, the 108 divine swords that surrounded the stone sword and were inserted into the ground trembled. They were pulled out of the ground and flew around Yi Chunfeng. In the next moment, the stone sword broke, revealing a fiery red sword soul. Saint-ranked sword soul. The heaven tier sword soul was white in color, while the saint tier sword soul was red in color. Looking at the red sword soul that appeared before his eyes, Yi Qinfeng immediately recognized that this was the legendary Saint Tier Sword Soul that contained the power to destroy heaven and earth. Junior, lend me your arm. As it spoke, the Saint Rank Sword Soul merged into Yi Qinfeng's arm. It controlled the 108 divine swords to wrap around Yi Qinfeng, leaving the sword wall space and appearing outside. You are finally willing to come out. Seeing the sudden appearance of Yi Qinfeng, who was surrounded by divine swords, Tianji Dao revealed a sinister expression. He immediately controlled the clear sky wheel to attack Yi Qinfeng. Slash! Yi Qinfeng waved his right arm. Endless red light gushed out of his right arm and turned into an invincible sword. It was like an axe that could split open the sky. With one slash, it sent the clear sky wheel flying and slashed towards Tianji Dao, whose expression changed drastically. At this critical moment, Tianji Dao increased his speed to the maximum and instantly made a wide horizontal movement, dodging the red sword light attack. Palace Master Tsang, Master Tianqing, Saint Master Jin, help me. Tianji Dao could not imagine that Yi Qinfeng would be so powerful after leaving the sword wall space. He immediately asked the three for help. All right. The three of them looked at each other and controlled their half-transcendent sacred weapons to attack Yi Qinfeng. They wanted to work together to kill him and obtain his secrets. Swish, swish, swish. As the three of them attacked, the 108 Qinquan swords around Yi Qinfeng quickly revolved, blocking their attacks and preventing them from hurting Yi Qinfeng. Die! Yi Qinfeng raised his right arm, and the terrifying Saint Sword Spirit once again exploded with world-destroying power. A sword light that cut through the entire space appeared, bringing with it the power to destroy everything as it slashed towards vast expanses trio. Not good. Seeing Yi Qinfeng's red sword light coming towards them, the three of them immediately controlled their half-transcendent sacred weapons to defend. Tianji Dao took this opportunity to spit a mouthful of essence blood into the clear sky wheel, activating the wheel's strongest attack and attacking Yi Qinfeng. Heaven Sword Soul, break! A blinding white light shot out of Yi Qinfeng's sea of soul. The newly evolved Heaven Sword Soul flew out and slashed at the clear sky wheel, delaying its attack. Puff, puff, puff. The Heaven Sword Soul forcibly delayed the clear sky wheel for a moment. The three of them were sent flying by the power of the Saint Sword Soul, leaving behind a large cloud of blood in the air. Primal Chaos Divine Wood suppressed the white bell. Seeing that the heavily injured Tianqing was unable to retrieve the half-transcendent sacred weapon white bell in time, Yi Qinfeng immediately summoned the Primal Chaos Divine Wood to suppress the white bell. After devouring the Chaos Lotus Flower, the Primal Chaos Divine Wood had transformed to an unimaginable level. It easily suppressed the half-transcendent sacred weapon white bell, preventing Tianqing from retrieving it. Slash! Yi Qinfeng flew up and used his hand as a sword. He continuously slashed out red sword lights at Tianji Dao and the experts from the Azure Sky Clan. Although the Azure Sky Clan experts who could survive in the secret realm were all heaven masters, they could not withstand the attacks of the Saint Sword Soul. Under Yi Qinfeng's ferocious attacks, the experts from the Azure Sky Clan were constantly killed. Tianji Dao was also heavily injured by the Saint Sword Soul. Retreat. When Tianji Dao, holding the blue sky wheel, took the fatal blow of the sacred level sword soul head-on and spurted out a large amount of blood, he was sent flying several thousand meters away. He had the thought of retreating. He glanced at Yi Qinfeng unwillingly, then took the remaining 3 warriors of the Blue Sky Clan and ran away. When Tianji Dao and the others fled, the experts from the Eternal Heaven Palace, 9 Clearances Mountain, and Heavenly Path Holy Land who were hiding in the distance did not dare to stay any longer. Don't chase a cornered enemy. Let's go back. The Saint Sword Soul did not start a massacre. It controlled the 108 swords and brought Yi Qinfeng and the White Bell back to the sword wall. Chapter 16:23. Senior, why didn't you kill all of those invaders? Yi Chen-feng was confident that he could kill Tianji Dao and the others after seeing how powerful the Sword Soul was. It's easy to kill them, but the ethereal heaven sect can't bear the consequences. The Sword Soul said, "You should know that the Green Sky clan is backed by the Heavenly Royal clan, one of the overlords in the Void God realm. If you kill the Green Sky clan leader, the Heavenly Royal clan will be furious. The Eternal Heaven Palace, 9 Clearances Mountain, and the Heavenly Path Holy Land are the inheritances of the human tribe. It's not good for the human tribe to hurt them. Well, Junior, it's quiet outside. No one will disturb you for a while. You can comprehend the sword principle general outline without worry. Senior, can I take the sword principle general outline away?" Yi Chen-feng asked. "No, you're not that person's descendant. You can only comprehend the sword principle general outline. You can't take it away." The Sword Soul said, "How much you can comprehend depends on your talent. Senior, how much time do I have to comprehend it?" Yi Chen-feng asked. 1 year. You have 1 year to comprehend it. The Sword Soul said, "After 1 year, no matter how much you comprehend, you can't continue to comprehend it." With that, a mysterious ancient book appeared in front of Yi Chen-feng. The ancient book was filled with the power of the sword principle, which frightened Yi Chen-feng. This ancient book was the sword principle general outline that Yi Chen-feng had been searching for. Legend had it that the sword principle general outline was all-encompassing. It contained a large number of profound sword moves and the secrets of the sword principle that people dreamed of. If one could comprehend it, it would greatly improve one's comprehension of the sword principle. Phew! After adjusting his internal breath, Yi Chen-feng sat cross-legged under the sword principle general outline. He controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce quickly and penetrate it into the sword principle general outline to comprehend it quickly. So many sword moves. When Yi Chen-feng's soul spirit entered the sword Dao outline, he realized that the sword Dao outline contained a large number of profound sword moves. The power of each sword move was unimaginably great. However, Yi Chen-feng only had 1 year to comprehend it. He was prepared to comprehend the most powerful sword move in the sword Dao general outline. He would then comprehend the sword Dao general outline's understanding of the sword Dao and deepen his own understanding of the sword Dao. Which sword move is more powerful? Yi Chen-feng controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly deduce and search for the most powerful sword move in the sword principle. After several days of searching, he found a sword move called Soulless Sword in the sword principle outline. Sword Soulless Sword move's name is such a domineering name. Yi Chen-feng controlled the God-engulfing brain and quickly browsed through the God-engulfing brain's cultivation method. Although the sword principle general outline did not introduce the level of Sword Soulless Sword, Yi Chen-feng had a feeling that this move was extremely powerful. If he could comprehend it, it would definitely become his trump card. After making up his mind, Yi Chen-feng removed all distracting thoughts and controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce quickly. He wanted to comprehend the Sword Soulless Sword move's charm. At the same time, the masters of the various forces who had escaped from the sword wall had gathered together. Damn it! Do any of you know that person? Tianji Dao could not accept this fact and roared angrily. No! As Yi Chen-feng controlled the illusory Dao insight to transform his appearance, his face was extremely unfamiliar, and no one could recognize his identity. Clan leader Qing Tian, what should we do now? That person's strength is too terrifying. With our strength, we are definitely no match for him. Thinking of the battle prowess that Yi Chen-feng had just displayed, Song Mang frowned and said, he had never thought that entering the ethereal mystery realm this time, not only did they not obtain any great opportunities, they almost died here. However, Tianqing was even more sullen and angry because the 9 Clarity Mountain sect's treasure, the White Bell, had been taken away by Yi Chen-feng. He could not bear such a loss at all. Do you think that person is related to the divine demon? Saint Lord Jean of the heavenly Tao, sacred land pondered and said, yes, that person should be related to the divine demon. Tianji Dao nodded and said, as for the combat strength that he had just displayed, it definitely did not belong to him. You should have used a special method to borrow the power of the sword wall. Let's leave the ethereal mystery realm and seal the entrance outside. We will wait for the clan leader of the Azure Sky clan to come and kill them. Tian Jidao felt that the situation was completely out of control, so he decisively wanted to leave. In his opinion, as long as he killed Yi Chunfeng and the Divine Demon and obtained the secrets in the sword wall and the treasures that the Divine Demon had taken away, it was enough. The other hidden opportunities in the secret realm were not attractive to him. Although Tsang Mang and the others wanted to continue exploring the ethereal mystery realm, when they thought of the terrifying Divine Demon, they had no choice but to give up on the idea and follow Tian Jidao out of the ethereal mystery realm. After this battle, the various superpowers had suffered heavy losses, especially the Azure Sky clan, which only had 3 heavenly masters left. The others had all died in the secret realm. As for the Eternal Heavenly Palace, 9 Clarity Mountain, and the Heavenly Tao Sacred Land, they had also suffered heavy losses. The 9 Clarity Mountain had even lost their sect's treasure, the White Bell, which greatly reduced their overall strength. As the various superpowers left the ethereal mystery realm, the entire place gradually quieted down. However, the outside of the ethereal mystery realm was in chaos, but Yu Xian and the others had already thought of a way to deal with it. They did not mention Yi Chunfeng and cooperated with the various superpowers experts, so that the various superpowers could not vent their anger on them. Just as the outside of the ethereal mystery realm was completely sealed off by the various superpowers, several terrifying auras appeared in the sky above the ethereal heaven sect. After receiving Tian Jidao's request, the old patriarch of the Azure Sky clan, who was a 2-star heavenly god, arrived at the ethereal heaven sect with several Azure Sky clan experts who had 1 foot in the heavenly god realm. They stood guard outside the ethereal mystery realm, waiting for Yi Chunfeng and the Divine Demon. Yi Chunfeng was completely unaware of the danger that was waiting for him. At this moment, he was completely immersed in practicing the one-sword soulless sword, controlling the God-Eater brain to simulate it again and again. After countless simulations with the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng gradually grasped the magic of this move, but he still needed some time to fully master it. But at this time, there were still more than 2 months left before the 1-year deadline. Soon, another month had passed. Yi Chunfeng, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his tightly shut eyes. 2 rays of sword light shot out from his deep eyes, as if they were solid. In the next moment, he jumped up high, and the heaven-level sword soul flew out of his body and merged with the Tao diagram that he had comprehended. One sword soulless sword. A black sword shadow shot up into the sky, and the terrifying sword power seemed to split the heavens and the earth. In an instant, the heavens and the earth were dark, and all the light was swallowed by the black sword light. It was as if there was only this invincible divine sword left in the world. Qi. The ancient temple in the distance was attacked by Yi Chunfeng's one-sword soulless sword, and the restriction that enveloped the ancient temple was immediately split open. The terrifying sword power directly pierced through the ancient temple, and the powerful force caused the entire ancient temple to tremble. Not bad, not bad. I didn't expect you to have comprehended the most powerful sword move in the sword principle outline. Yi Chunfeng had almost exhausted all of his Tao power. After using one sword soulless sword, he felt deeply exhausted. At this moment, the saint-level sword soul appeared and floated in front of Yi Chunfeng, praising him. Senior, what level is this one-sword soulless sword at? Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and asked. There is no level to one-sword soulless sword, because the power of this move will continuously increase according to your comprehension of Tao intent. The saint-level sword soul said, if you can increase the power of this move to the extreme, it will definitely not be inferior to a supreme ability. Supreme ability. Yi Chunfeng sucked in a breath of cold air. According to the God-Eater brain's memories, Yi Chunfeng knew that supreme ability could be said to be the most terrifying move in the universe. Its power far surpassed true Spirit Saint skills and heaven-piercing divine skills. Even in the Void God world, it was extremely rare to see such a move. He finally understood why this move was called One-Sword Soulless Sword. If he could really unleash the power of this move to the supreme ability, it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill a god. All right, Junior, you still have more than a month to comprehend it. Cherish this 1 month. When the time is up, I will take back the sword principle outline. The saint-level sword soul said. All right. Yi Qianfeng nodded and got rid of all distracting thoughts. Then he controlled the God-Eater brain to copy the Sword Dao concept in the general outline of the Sword Dao. Soon a year passed. Chapter 16:24. All right, Junior. Time's up. I'm going to take back the sword principle general outline. A year was up. The saint-level sword spirit retrieved the incomparably precious general outline of the way of the sword and floated in front of the unsatisfied Yi Qianfeng. Through the God-Eater brain, Yi Qianfeng had memorized more than half of the sword principle's concept of sword principle. He believed that if he slowly comprehended it in the future, his understanding of sword principle would reach a higher level. He definitely had the chance to cultivate his heaven sword soul to saint sword soul. Junior, your talent is the best I've ever seen in my life. I believe that you will definitely reach the peak of martial Dao. When that time comes, I hope you can take care of the Misty Heaven sect. The sword spirit looked at Yi Qianfeng, who had comprehended the most powerful move of the sword principle general outline, and said slowly, Don't worry, Senior. I will make the Misty Heaven sect the strongest force in the Nihility Zone. Yi Qianfeng nodded and promised. Junior, before I send you away, I'll give you another opportunity. With that said, the Saint Greatsword Soul summoned 3 restriction lights and said, You can take any one of these 3 restriction lights with you. Senior, I want the 108 swords. Can I have them? Yi Qianfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to sense the 3 restrictive lights. He did not choose one. Instead, he asked for the 108 swords stuck in the ground. You really know how to pick things. The sword spirit said, All right. I'll give you the 108 supreme, true saint swords that my master left behind. Thank you, Senior. Yi Qianfeng was secretly happy. He immediately squeezed out 108 drops of blood essence and dripped them on the swords. With the 108 supreme, true saint swords, the power of the Cosmos sword formation would reach the level of a lower, transcendent saint weapon. It would become another trump card of Yi Qianfeng. Junior, before I send you away, can you do me a favor? Give this Cosmos ring to the current Misty Heaven sect leader. The sword spirit said. No problem. Yi Qianfeng nodded and took the spatial ring. However, Senior, the Cyan Sky Clan, Eternal Heaven Palace, and the other superpowers have suffered great losses in the Misty Secret Realm. I'm afraid that they will seek revenge on the Misty Heaven sect in the future. I wonder if Senior can help us when the time comes. Don't worry. Now that the secret realm is open, I can communicate with the outside world. If the Misty Heaven sect is really in trouble, I will suppress them with the sword wall. The saint-level sword soul promised. You, on the other hand, have to be extra careful after you leave the mystic realm. I feel that someone has sealed the space outside the mystic realm. I think they are all waiting for you to appear so that they can kill you and take your opportunity. Don't worry, Senior. They can't kill me. Yi Qianfeng said confidently. It's better be careful. The saint-level sword soul said, Come, this was left behind by Master. I'll give it to you. Crush it, and you'll be able to teleport thousands of miles away in an instant. You'll be able to avoid their pursuit for a short period of time. With that said, the saint-level sword spirit gave Yi Qianfeng an extremely precious transmission array disk. All right, I'll send you out. The saint-level sword soul said. Wait, Senior. Yi Qianfeng suddenly shouted. Junior will send someone out. With that said, Yi Qianfeng summoned Shui Yishuan from the universe mirror. He handed over the universe ring that the saint-level sword spirit gave him to Shui Yishuan and said, Senior's sister Shui, I'm afraid I won't be able to cultivate in the Misty Heaven sect from now on. This universe ring was given to me by this senior. Please give it to the sect leader for me. Qianfeng, are those people trying to harm you? Shui Yishuan asked nervously. Don't worry, Senior's sister Shui. The people who can kill me haven't been born in this world yet. A mere Azure Sky clan won't be able to kill me. Yi Feng smiled confidently and said, I hope that the next time I see you, you'll be able to break through to the Downlord level. All right, I'll wait for you in the Misty Heaven sect. You must come back. Shui Yixin gently bit her lips and suddenly threw herself into Yi Feng's arms. She tightly hugged him and said softly, I will. Yi Feng nodded and promised. Little girl, is your surname Shui? The saint-level sword spirit secretly looked at Shui Yixuan and suddenly asked. Senior is... Hearing the saint-level sword spirit's voice, Shui Yixuan was like a frightened rabbit. She suddenly left Yi Feng's arms and looked at the saint-level sword spirit from afar. I'm just a sword spirit. The saint-level sword spirit said, Little girl, if your surname is Shui, I can give you an opportunity. Junior is Shui Yixuan. I was right. Saying that, the saint-level sword spirit summoned the 3 restriction lights that Yi Feng didn't choose and said, For the sake of your ancestor, these 3 restriction lights, you can take one away. Thank you, Senior. Shui Yixuan wasn't a shy person. After thanking the sword spirit, she looked at the 3 restriction lights. Senior sister, pick the second one. At this time, Yi Feng's voice sounded in her ears. Senior, Junior wants the second restriction light. Shui Yixuan trusted Yi Feng very much and said, Haha, you really are a lucky person. This second restriction light is the most precious. The saint-level sword spirit laughed and opened a restriction light, revealing a sword diagram with a large number of sword runes. This is the million sword diagram left behind by our master. There are 10,000 sword runes carved by our master. When all 10,000 sword runes are unleashed together, its power is comparable to a lower-grade, transcendent saint artifact. The saint-level sword spirit said, A lower-grade, transcendent saint artifact sword diagram. Shui Yixuan sucked in a cold breath. One had to know that the Misty Heaven sect's most precious treasure was only a supreme-grade, true spirit saint artifact. A lower-grade, transcendent saint artifact was a legend to them. Shui Yixuan never dreamed that she would one day get a lower-grade, transcendent saint artifact. Qingfeng, thank you. Shui Yixuan looked at Yi Feng gratefully. If it was not for his reminder, Shui Yixuan felt that she would not have been able to obtain the million sword diagram. Senior sister Shui, this is an opportunity that belongs to you. You don't have to thank me. Yi Feng said with a smile. Junior, drip your blood on this million sword diagram to recognize it as your master. Once it recognizes you as its master, I will help you refine it. The saint-level sword spirit said. Yes. Shui Yixuan nodded. She bit her finger and pressed it on the million sword diagram to try to recognize it as its master. All right, there is not much time left. I will send you off. While Shui Yixuan was dripping her blood on the million sword diagram, the saint-level sword spirit came to Yi Feng and said, Be careful. I believe that we will meet again one day. Misty Heaven sect, I will definitely come back. Yi Feng nodded and said resolutely. All right. The saint-level sword spirit nodded. Suddenly, it released a powerful sword intent and poured it into the sword wall. In the next moment, the sword wall that was dozens of feet high reflected an endless amount of sword light, illuminating the heaven and earth. It then transformed into tens of thousands of invincible sword light that floated in the air. Junior, we will meet again one day. After that, the saint-level sword spirit released a red light that wrapped around Yi Feng. With tens of thousands of invincible sword light, it traveled thousands of miles through the secret territory and bombarded the entrance of the secret territory that was sealed by the Qing Tian tribe. P.S. Yin Lei has introduced the relationship between Tianyu and the Void God Realm in detail on her WeChat account. Those who want to know more can add her WeChat account, YLTY83. Chapter 1625. Boom. The Green Sky clan's inhibition formations at the entrance of the secret realm were broken. Tens of thousands of invincible sword radiants flew out and attacked the Green Sky clan's master. 8th High School, LiteratureNet. Greater than or equal to equals is not equal to. Less than or equal to 8, greater than or equal to 1, less than or equal to z. less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to C, less than or equal to O, is not equal to M. Oh no. Tian Jidao, who had been waiting patiently for a year, suddenly opened his eyes and summoned the green sky wheel, his lower-grade heaven-reaching saint weapon to defend himself. However, the power of the sword wall was too horrible. Tian Jidao deduced the Wei will to the extreme and controlled the green sky wheel to defend himself for a few seconds. He couldn't hold on any longer and kept retreating. Green Sky Sword. At the critical moment, the old patriarch of the Green Sky clan, Tianji, a 2-star divine realm cultivator, slashed down with the Green Sky Sword, the second lower-grade heaven-reaching saint weapon of the Green Sky clan. The horrible sword radiance was like the Milky Way flowing backward, bombarding the tens of thousands of invincible sword radiance. It kept shattering the sword radiance and reducing the pressure on Tianji Dao. It's that boy. He's out. When Tianji and Tianji Dao were fighting against the sword wall, Yi Chunfeng was sent out of the ethereal secret realm by the red sword radiance. He appeared in the ethereal heavens sect, which immediately attracted everyone's attention. Boy, give me back the white bell of the 9 clearances mountain. Tianqing Master roared and performed the 9 clearances Tao Wheel, the first superpower of the 9 clearances mountain, to attack Yi Chunfeng. Buzz, buzz, buzz. When Tianqing Master attacked with all his strength, Tao Wheels with Wei will appeared on his body. They were like 9 shining meteors, try to block all of Yi Chunfeng's escape space and kill him. Godless Sword. Yi Chunfeng summoned the giant spiritual sword and merged the heaven-level sword soul into the giant spiritual sword. He stimulated the giant spiritual sword's most powerful attack and performed the most powerful move he had comprehended from the sword principle. As the sword slashed out, the world was pitch black. The horrible sword radiance cut through the sky and directly pierced through the Tao Wheel of Tianqing Master, forcibly opening a passage. That sword. He really is related to that fiend god. When the god fiend Torch Dragon started a massacre with the giant spiritual sword, many people had witnessed it with their own eyes. Therefore, when everyone saw the giant spiritual sword appear in Yi Chunfeng's hand, they immediately confirmed that Yi Chunfeng and the god fiend Torch Dragon were in cahoots. Grand Mist Bloodline Ignition, time increase. Yi Chunfeng summoned his sword wings and increased his speed to the limit. In a flash, he passed through the broken Dao Wheel and escaped from the Misty Heaven sect at an extremely fast speed. Yue Xian, activate your Misty Heaven sect protecting formation to the maximum. Don't let him escape. The vast expanse sect hadn't expected that Yi Chunfeng would still be able to kill his way out of the encirclement after guarding it for more than a year. Hence, he shouted at the sect master of the ethereal heavenly sect, Yu Xian. All right, Yu Xian agreed verbally, but he was deliberately stalling for time, creating time for Yi Chunfeng to escape. Heaven Grade Sword Soul, break for me. Seizing the opportunity when a Misty Heaven sect protecting formation wasn't strong enough, Yi Chunfeng controlled the Heaven Grade Sword Soul to fly up and ruthlessly stabbed the Misty Heaven sect protecting formation. The terrifying attack forcefully pierced through the sect protecting formation, causing numerous cracks to appear. In the next moment, 108 Supreme Grade True Spirit Saint Swords flew out from his body. Under his control, they attacked the broken formation, creating a huge hole in the Misty Heaven sect's protective formation and flew out. Where do you think you're going? The 2-star Tao God Realm Heaven Fate roared and suddenly took a step forward. In an instant, he traversed tens of thousands of meters and chased after Yi Chunfeng with extreme speed. Want to kill me? Wait until your next life. Without waiting for Heaven Fate's attack, Yi Chunfeng crushed the transmission array disc given to him by the Saint Great Sword Soul and disappeared before Heaven Fate's azure sky sword could reach him. Brat, even if you run to the ends of the earth, I will kill you. Heaven Fate, who had missed his attack and created a crack in the sky, roared and immediately chased after Yi Chunfeng with the Azure Sky clan's experts. Let's go after him too. Thinking of Yi Chunfeng's treasures, the vast expanse, esteemed Master Tianqing, and the others didn't stay for long. They all chased after Yi Qinfeng, wanting to get a share of the loot. Soon, the chaotic Misty Heavens sect gradually returned to peace. Because of Yi Qinfeng's departure, the major forces that wanted to seize the opportunity in the Misty Heavens sect all left, leaving only Yu Xian and the others who were secretly worried. Sect Master, do you think Qingfeng can escape from their pursuit? Shui Piaomiao asked anxiously through telepathy. Yu Xian took a deep breath and said, "Don't worry. Qingfeng is not a short-lived person. I believe that one day he will reach the peak of the martial Dao and return to the Misty Heavens sect." After teleporting tens of thousands of miles away, Yi Qinfeng immediately took out the map of the Void Zone that he had obtained earlier. After identifying the direction, he flew toward the nearest wormhole at an extremely fast speed. If he wanted to escape from the pursuit of the Azure Sky Clan's Dao gods, he had to use the wormhole to travel through space. Nando City was a famous city in the Void Zone that belonged to the Eternal Heavenly Palace. One day, a figure appeared in Nando City at an extremely fast speed, alarming the cultivators in the city. Who was that? How dare he? Doesn't he know that flying is prohibited in Nando City? How dare he fly into Nando City? He's dead meat. Seeing Yi Qinfeng fly into Nando City at an extremely fast speed, the cultivators all revealed expressions of schadenfreude. They all headed into the city to watch the show. How dare you? Who are you? Why did you barge into Nando City? When Yi Qinfeng released his powerful soul power to search for the wormhole, an earth-shattering roar rang out. Several Nando City guards wearing golden armor and wielding saint weapons appeared on flying dragon horses, blocking Yi Qinfeng's path. Tell me where the wormhole is. With a thought, 108 supreme-grade, true spirit holy swords flew out of Yi Qinfeng's body and shredded the holy weapons in the hands of the golden-armored guards. The swords hovered around their necks as he questioned them with murderous intent. The wormhole is in the north of the city. Feeling the terrifying aura of the supreme-grade, true spirit holy swords, the golden-armored guards were frightened and obediently told him the location of the wormhole. Whoosh! Yi Qinfeng didn't waste any time. He flew to the north of the city at an extremely fast speed and arrived at the wormhole. As soon as Yi Qinfeng came out of the wormhole, a 2-star celestial master, Tianji, and a 1-star celestial master, Tianji Dao, arrived at Nando City. Feeling the two's invincible auras, the cultivators of Nando City paled in fright. Where's he? Wuji's deep eyes locked onto Yi Qinfeng, who was in the north of Nando City. He flew over with Tianji Dao at an extremely fast speed. If you don't want to die, open the wormhole for me. Yi Qinfeng didn't expect Tianji and Tianji Dao to arrive so quickly. The old man in charge of the wormhole had already received a message from the vast expanse. He pretended to be terrified and tried to stall for time. Bam! Yi Qinfeng squeezed his right hand and directly crushed the old man's head, killing him. He then charged into the wormhole. Just as he was about to forcefully open the wormhole, Tianji flew over with the clear sky, sword, and slashed at the wormhole. He wanted to sever the wormhole and cut off Yi Qinfeng's path of retreat. At the critical moment, the God-Fiend Torch Dragon appeared with the Chaos Divine wood in his hand and ruthlessly lashed out at the clear sky sword, forcefully blocking Tianji's attack. God-Fiend? How could such a terrifying God-Fiend appear in the Heaven Domain? Tianji's face darkened as he watched the God-Fiend Torch Dragon forcefully blocking his attack. He quickly deduced his Dao intent and continued to attack the God-Fiend Torch Dragon. Tianji Dao also rushed over at this time and attacked the Torch Dragon with the clear sky wheel. Puff! Puff! Taking the attacks of the Heaven's Fate duo head-on with his heavily injured body, Zhulong's injuries continued to worsen. A large amount of blood sprayed out and dyed the ground red. Wormhole passed through. Taking advantage of the time when the God-Fiend Torch Dragon was blocking, Yi Qinfeng successfully took control of the flywheel and sent the severely injured God-Fiend Torch Dragon, who was almost powerless to resist, into the universe realm and began to travel through space. Destroy. As the flywheel passed through space, Tianji and Tianji Dao repeatedly unleashed their strongest attacks, destroying the wormhole and attacking the flywheel from afar. Although the flywheel passed through space at an extremely fast speed, it was still affected by the two's attacks and was severely damaged. The wormhole was also constantly collapsing. But under the flywheel's extreme speed, Tianji and Tianji Dao were gradually unable to catch up. In the end, they reluctantly watched the heavily damaged flywheel disappear before their eyes. Chapter 16:26. Poof! A figure suddenly flew out of the spatial crack and crashed into a desolate and uninhabited spatial fragment. In the next moment, the bloodied man who had been torn apart by the spatial crack mysteriously disappeared. Junior, this is all I can help you with. Now that I'm severely injured, I have to enter a deep sleep. I can't do anything if you encounter any danger. Yi Chenfeng had encountered great danger when he was traveling through space. His severely damaged flywheel had been severely damaged during the process. At the critical moment, the divine demon candle dragon had burned his blood and qi to forcefully break through the spatial wall. He had brought Yi Chenfeng out of the unstable spatial wormhole and into this strange starry sky. Thank you, Senior. I will find the medicine to heal your injuries as soon as possible, Yi Chenfeng said gratefully. If not for the divine demon candle dragon's help, he would not have been able to obtain so many opportunities and might have even lost his life. My injuries are too severe. I think only a half ancestor pill or a real ancestor pill can heal me. However, it will be difficult to find such a pill in the celestial domain. The divine demon candle dragon said weakly. Senior, just rest well and heal your injuries. Leave the rest to me. As long as there is such a pill in the celestial domain, I will definitely get it for you. Yi Chenfeng promised. All right. With that, the heavily injured divine demon candle dragon fell into a deep sleep. Hun Dun, dragon bloodline, space swallower, you've all swallowed the ancestor beast demonic pill. How long will it take for you to break through to the celestial domain? Yi Chenfeng asked the three celestial domain beasts after he had recovered from his injuries. Yes, even in this space where the flow of time is 10 times faster, we will still need 10 years. The divine beast of chaos said, what if I give you these demonic pills? Yi Chenfeng took out more than 10 demonic pills that the divine demon candle dragon had obtained from killing the enemies and gave them to the three celestial domain beasts. Boss, I love you to death. We will break through as soon as possible, the divine beast of chaos said with glowing eyes. With these demonic pills, they would save a lot of time to break through to the celestial domain beasts. After giving away a large amount of Yao cores, Yi Chenfeng came to the side of the Black Rock Emperor, who was trying his best to break through to the Devil Master realm, and woke him up from his cultivation. When the Black Rock Emperor sensed that Yi Chenfeng had broken through again and reached the level 6 Dao Emperor realm, he was greatly affected. The Black Rock Emperor thought that he was extremely talented, and there were very few people that could catch his eye. However, after seeing Yi Chenfeng's freakish cultivation speed, his pride was completely crushed by Yi Chenfeng. Black Rock Emperor, this is for you. If you can't break through in a year, then you don't deserve to follow me. Yi Chenfeng gave a precious Dao core to the Black Rock Emperor. Dao core. The Black Rock Emperor's eyes lit up when he saw the Dao core that Yi Chenfeng handed over. The Dao core was the source of power for a Dao Lord expert, and it contained the Dao Lord's comprehension of the Dao. It was something that Emperor Realm experts dreamed of. If they could refine the Dao core, they could easily break through to the Dao Lord realm. Don't worry, young Master Yi. With this Dao core, I'm confident that I can break through to the Dao Lord realm within 3 years. The Black Rock Emperor patted his chest and guaranteed. Yi Chenfeng nodded and left the Black Rock Emperor's cultivation ground. He found Xia Wendy, who was refining a 2-star true spirit pill and trying her best to break through to the level 3 Dao Emperor realm. Come, Matzi, let's split the loot. Yi Chenfeng smiled and called Xia Wendy over. Motzi, these true spirit holy pills, supreme grade, true spirit holy saber feng wu, and white bell are for you. Feng, what opportunity did you get this time? Xia Wendy's heart shook when she sensed the power that Bai Zhong was emitting. I took this Bai Zhong from esteemed Tianqing, and these true spirit pills in Feng Wu were obtained from the remains of the Azure Sky race's almighty expert that senior torch dragon killed. With these true spirit pills, it'll be enough for you to cultivate to the limit of the 6-star Dao Emperor realm. At that time, I'll help you break through to the Dao Lord realm. Yi Qinfeng looked at Xia Wendy's excited expression and said softly, Qinfeng, you've done me too much. I don't know how to repay you. Xia Wendy knew the value of the treasures that Yi Qinfeng had given her. She was grateful, and at the same time, she was deeply moved. You can't be thinking of using your body to repay me, right? Yi Qinfeng looked at Xia Wendy's exquisite face and joked, If I say yes, will you accept? Xia Wendy looked at Yi Qinfeng affectionately and said softly, We'll talk about it after you break through to the Dao Lord realm. Yi Qinfeng intimately scratched Xia Wendy's little nose and said softly, All right, that's what you said. Xia Wendy's eyes lit up. Wait until I break through to the Dao Lord realm. I'll definitely push you down. All right, cultivate well. I'll wait for that day. Yi Qinfeng said with a smile. He didn't disturb Xia Wendy's cultivation anymore. He went to the heaven rank origin Dao steel and sat down cross-legged. After regulating his breathing for a while, Yi Qinfeng took out a Dao core. He directly cut open the flesh on his chest and pressed the Dao core into his chest. As he circulated the soul-devouring art to refine this 1-star Dao core, he controlled the God-devouring brain to comprehend the heaven-rank origin Dao steel and deepen his comprehension of the Dao. Time flew by in the tenfold flow of time. In next to no time, 5 years had passed within the world mirror. During these 5 years, Yi Qinfeng had completely refined and absorbed the Dao core, and he relied on the energy of the Dao core to slowly fuse with his own Dao core in his heart and charge into the Dao Lord realm. When Yi Qinfeng charged into the Dao Lord realm with all his strength, the Black Rock Emperor who'd refined and absorbed the Dao core that Yi Qinfeng had given him had smoothly taken that difficult step and condensed an extremely powerful Dao core to break through to the Devil Lord realm. Breaking through to the Devil Lord realm so quickly was something that the Black Rock Emperor had never imagined. At this moment, he even felt a trace of happiness in his heart. He was happy that he'd submitted to Yi Qinfeng. Otherwise, he didn't know how long it would take for him to overcome this difficult step. Not long after the Black Rock Emperor broke through to the Devil Lord realm, Xia Wendy, who'd been ceaselessly consuming pills, had broken through to the 3rd-star Dao Emperor realm. The Chaos Divine Beast, Jin Xing Dragonblood Lion, and the Space Devourer had broken through to the rank of Saint Beasts. On the other hand, the Space Devourer worms that had transformed into rank of Saint Beasts basically possessed the ability to devour spatial wormholes. Not long after, the Black Rock Emperor suddenly felt a terrifying wave of Dao intent surge out from within the world mirror. In the next moment, the heavenly Dao diagrams of life and death and heavenly Dao diagrams of heaven and earth appeared above Yi Qinfeng's head. Coupled with the heavenly Dao diagrams of 5 elements that Yi Qinfeng had comprehended earlier, Yi Qinfeng had already cultivated 3 heavenly Dao diagrams, which had greatly increased his strength. After comprehending the 3 heavenly Dao diagrams, Yi Qinfeng had condensed the embryonic form of a Dao core in his heart. However, Yi Qinfeng knew that the deeper one's comprehension of Dao intent was, the stronger the Dao core would be. He wasn't in a hurry to break through to the Dao Lord realm. Instead, he focused on comprehending the origin Dao steel and increasing his comprehension of Dao intent. Another 5 years passed within the world mirror. The most profound heavenly Dao diagram appeared above Yi Qinfeng's head, and his illusion Dao intent had also reached the heavenly Dao diagram realm. After more than 10 years of cultivation, Yi Qinfeng had finally cultivated his Dao intent to the heavenly Dao diagram realm, and his grasp of Dao intent was even deeper than ordinary Dao lords. It's time to break through to the Dao Lord realm. Yi Feng took a deep breath, took out a top-grade, true spirit saint pill, and swallowed it. He borrowed the powerful medicinal energy of this top-grade, true spirit saint pill to condense his powerful Dao core. Finally, Yi Feng merged all the Dao intent he had cultivated into his Dao core. He broke through the bottleneck of his cultivation in one fell swoop and stepped into the realm that many heaven domain almighties couldn't reach in their lifetime, the one-star Dao Lord realm. Chapter 16:27. Young Master Yi, you've broken through to the one-star Dao Lord realm. The Black Rock Emperor was jolted awake by Yi Chunfeng's breakthrough, and he suffered another blow to his heart when he sensed that Yi Chunfeng's aura was even stronger than his own. 8th high, when Wang is almost equal to less than or equal to. Yes. Yi Feng nodded and revealed a faint smile. BlackRock, receive a punch of mine with your full strength. I want to see how much my combat strength has improved. All right. The Black Rock Emperor wanted to witness Yi Chunfeng's strength after breaking through to the one-star Dao Lord realm as well, and he nodded. Huh. Yi Feng roared explosively while over 5 billion kilograms of strength instantly erupted. It was like numerous heaven-ranked Dao diagrams had merged together, and it transformed into a fist that was like a shooting star. It carried an unparalleled aura of pressure as it smashed down towards the Black Rock Emperor, who defended himself with all his might. Bang! Yi Feng's fist collided with the numerous layers of defenses that the Black Rock Emperor had instantly condensed, and a terrifying force of impact instantly erupted from it. It easily shattered the defenses that the Black Rock Emperor had condensed, and it terrified him to the point of continuing to condense more defenses to deal with the might of this punch. The Black Rock Emperor took over 10 steps back and condensed over 30 layers of defenses before he was finally able to deal with Yi Feng's punch with great difficulty. Young Master Yi, why is your strength so much stronger than mine after breaking through to the one-star Dao Lord realm? The Black Rock Emperor, who'd suffered a heavy blow from the severe numbness in his arm, spoke. Because I've cultivated all the Dao insights, I've comprehended to the heaven-ranked Dao diagram realm. Yi Feng spoke slowly. All right, Black Rock, now that you've broken through to the one-star Devil Lord realm, you're qualified to comprehend this heaven-ranked quintessence Dao steel. A heaven-ranked quintessence Dao steel. The Black Rock Emperor's eyes instantly lit up. Even the Black Devil race didn't possess such a treasure. So, even if Yi Feng drove him away now, he would still do everything he could to stay by Yi Feng's side. Cultivate well. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Feng left the world with a command in his heart, and he arrived outside to investigate this strange starry sky world. What is this place? Yi Feng looked around at the space world in front of him. He noticed that there were pieces of incomplete world fragments floating in space. These world fragments were of different sizes, but the biggest one was so big that he couldn't see the end of it. However, the world fragments floating around Yi Feng had one thing in common. They were all lifeless. Hey, let's see if we can meet anyone. Yi Feng sighed lightly as he concealed his strength and summoned the sword wings to fly in this strange, starry sky world, searching for signs of life. Yi Feng flew for a few hours, flying across a large number of broken world fragments. Suddenly, he sensed the limit of his life force in a mountain range in front of him. He was overjoyed. He quickly flapped his sword wings and flew over with a large number of sword shadows. And what kind of demonic beast is that? Flying above the mountain range, Yi Feng found a few demonic beasts in this desolate mountain range. However, these demonic beasts were different from the demonic beasts of the heavenly domain. These demonic beasts had coarse skin and thick flesh, and their forms were rather strange. They were somewhat similar to the legendary beasts. Roar, roar, roar. Ferocious roars rang out one after another as the demonic beasts saw Yi Feng flying in the air. They suddenly opened their bloody mouths and stepped on the space, wanting to rush over and tear apart the enemy that had trespassed into their territory. As the demonic beasts approached, Yi Feng immediately burst out with 3 billion gene of strength to meet them head-on. Although Yi Feng was like an ant in the eyes of these demonic beasts, Yi Feng's explosive attack was far stronger than them. Under the attack of Yi Feng's fists, which contained 3 billion gene of strength, the ferocious demonic beasts were smashed into the mountain range one after another, smashing through the ancient trees and creating large holes in the ground. Soul Search. Yi Feng's body flashed and appeared on top of a demonic beast's head. He borrowed the power of the god Eater Brain to search its soul. And they have not gained intelligence. They are really demonic beasts. During the soul search, Yi Feng realized that these demonic beasts had not gained intelligence. He was basically sure that they were the demonic beasts that had almost disappeared from the heaven region. Since he was unable to obtain any valuable information from these demonic beast soul, Yi Feng did not start a massacre. He let these demonic beasts go and continued to fly in the starry sky, searching for signs of life. After roughly 3 days, Yi Feng, who was constantly searching, once again sensed the aura of life. He flashed and flew over at an extremely fast speed. On a slowly drifting giant meteorite, there was a 1-star Dao burly man who was covered in blood and severely injured. He was trying his best to recuperate. When he sensed Yi Feng's aura, this burly man who was recuperating suddenly opened his eyes. He wielded a low-grade true spirit artifact, the Wolf Fong Heavy Club, and suddenly attacked Yi Feng. Sir, please don't misunderstand. I am just passing by and have no ill intentions. Yi Feng's body flashed and dodged the burly man's Wolf Fong Heavy Club as he explained. You are not from the true demon tribe. Looking at Yi Feng's handsome face, the burly man did not sense any killing intent from him. He asked in a low voice, "Do you see the aura of the demonic tribe on me?" Yi Feng smiled and asked, "I just came here by chance. I want to know where this place is." This is the alien battlefield. It is the space outside the heaven region that connects the heaven region to the void god world. The burly man secretly heaved a sigh of relief. This is the alien battlefield. Thinking that the Lord of the North Sea had sent the spiritual fish here, Yi Feng became very interested in the alien battlefield. He wanted to find a spiritual fish. Thank you for telling me. I will give you this elixir to heal your injuries. Yi Feng took out a supreme grade divine elixir and gave it to the burly man. Supreme grade divine elixir. The burly man was someone who knew what was good for him. Looking at the elixir that Yi Feng gave him, his eyes lit up and he swallowed it without hesitation to heal his injuries. By the way, sir, may I know where the nearest human gathering place is? Yi Feng continued asking. The burly man pondered for a moment before saying, "The overall strength of the human race in the outworld battlefield isn't very strong. We only have 3 colonies, and the one closest to here is called the Human Dao Alliance. I am from the Human Dao Alliance. I wonder if sir can bring me to the Human Dao Alliance. I want to go there and ask about someone." Yi Feng asked, "I can, but the Human Dao Alliance is currently being attacked by the True Demon Tribe and the Ghost Tribe. We are in a dangerous situation. If you go to the Human Dao Alliance now, you will be dragged into our war." The burly man said, "As a human, I naturally have to do my part for the human race." Yi Feng smiled and said fearlessly, "Let's go to the Human Dao Alliance." "Thank you." Although the burly man couldn't sense Yi Feng's true strength, Yi Feng was willing to help the Human Dao Alliance when they were in trouble. The burly man had a good impression of him. "I, Suda, will consider you a friend." He used the supreme grade divine elixir to heal his injuries quickly and rushed to the Human Dao Alliance with Yi Feng. But before long, a strange black flywheel appeared in the starry sky of the alien battlefield. Seeing the flywheel in the distance, the burly man's expression changed drastically. "Oh no, it's the ghost ship of the Ghost Tribe. Let's find a place to hide. We can't let the Ghost Tribe discover us. Otherwise, we will both die." Chapter 1628. Brother Sue, I'm afraid it's too late to hide. I think they have already discovered us. Yi Qianfeng's soul was extremely powerful. He could feel several powerful soul forces locking onto him as he spoke slowly. Brother, their target is me. I will think of a way to lure them away. You should quickly run for your life. Thinking of the horror of the Spectre ship, Suda did not want to implicate Yi Qianfeng, so he clenched his teeth and spoke. Don't worry, Brother Su. A mere Spectre ship is not a threat to me. Yi Qianfeng revealed an unruly smile and said, Let's go. Let's board the ship and take a look. After saying that, Yi Qianfeng summoned his sword wings, which stirred up a hurricane as he flew toward the Spectre ship at an extremely fast speed. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Seeing Yi Qianfeng rapidly flying over, the experts on the Spectre ship sensed the abnormality and immediately mobilized the powerful Spectre cannon, which was powerful enough to kill a powerful Dao Emperor, to bombard Yi Qianfeng. However, Yi Qianfeng's flying speed was too fast. His body transformed into a series of afterimages as he easily dodged the attack of the Spectre cannon, penetrated the defense of the Spectre ship, and landed on the ship. Who are you? Why are you boarding my Spectre ship? Seeing Yi Qianfeng board Spectre ghost ship effortlessly, an old man with a large head covered in black robes slowly stood up from a chair made of bones. His sunken eyes shone with a sinister light as he spoke in a hoarse voice. Let's go, Senior Brother Xiao Chun. Why? Can't I board this Spectre ship? Yi Qianfeng released his powerful soul to scan the Spectre ship and found that the strongest person on the ship was the old man in front of him, who was only at the 5-star Ghost Emperor realm. He was relieved and said playfully, It seems that you should be the reinforcements that the human found. The black-robed old man said, But no matter who you are, you will definitely die once you step on the Spectre ship. As he spoke, a white-boned flute appeared in the black-robed old man's hand, and he gently blew it. Immediately, the space in the Spectre ship warped. A large number of white-boned soldiers, white-boned generals, and white-boned horses broke out of the warp space. They let out chilling cries as they launched fierce attacks at Yi Qianfeng, wanting to kill him. Interesting. I never expected that the Ghost Clan would actually possess such means. This was the first time that Yi Qianfeng had encountered the Ghost Clan. He was interested in their ability to summon ghost soldiers and ghost generals. Although the black-robed old man had summoned a large number of ghost soldiers, these ghost soldiers and ghost generals were too weak to cause any harm to Yi Qianfeng. As the 108th Supreme Grade True Spirit Saint Swords flew out of Yi Qianfeng's body and revolve around him, large amounts of ghost soldiers and ghost generals were shattered, turning into white bones that covered the ground. This method is very novel, but the power is a bit too weak. Yi Qianfeng put his hands behind his back and looked at the black-robed old man with an ugly expression. White-boned Ghost Emperor, appear. The black-robed old man's walking stick emitted a large amount of white light that merged with the thick white bones. Immediately after, these white bones quickly fused and turned into a white-boned Ghost Emperor that was dozens of feet tall. He was holding a huge white bone axe and constantly letting out hissing sounds. 5-star Ghost Emperor. Feeling that the white-boned Ghost Emperor in front of him was on par with the black-robed old man, Yi Qianfeng shook his head and said, If this is your trump card, then you can become a real ghost. As he spoke, Yi Qianfeng suddenly took a step forward and cracked the hard deck of the ghost ship. He punched at the white-boned Ghost Emperor who was holding the huge white bone axe and chopping at him with all his strength. Boom! The arm of the white-boned Ghost Emperor trembled. The powerful, huge white bone axe and his entire arm were shattered by Yi Qianfeng's punch. Then, Yi Qianfeng punched a second time. The terrifying fist light bombarded the chest of the white-boned Ghost Emperor, shattering his upper body and turning him into white bones again. What? Seeing the scene of Yi Qianfeng shattering the white-boned Ghost Emperor with 2 punches, the black-robed old man revealed a look of horror. His eyes were wide open. He never thought that Yi Qianfeng's strength would be so terrifying. A 5-star Ghost Emperor was no threat to him at all. What are you waiting for? Kill him for me. The black-robed old man shouted at his subordinates on the ghost ship, ordering them to attack Yi Qianfeng together. When dozens of Ghost Clan experts attacked Yi Chunfeng with powerful holy weapons, the black-robed old man opened his mouth and spat out a mid-grade true spirit holy treasure bead that was as black as ink. It was filled with dense ghost chi and shot towards Yi Chunfeng. Cosmos Sword Formation, destroy it. With a thought from Yi Chunfeng, 108 Supreme Grade True Spirit Holy Swords quickly formed a sword diagram and slashed at the ghost bead. Under the ferocious attacks of the Cosmos Sword Formation, this ghost pearl, which was a mid-grade True Spirit Holy Treasure, was forcefully destroyed. As for the ghost generals that surrounded Yi Chunfeng, they were also killed by the Cosmos Sword Formation without any suspense. They fell into a pool of blood and died. Wait, you can't kill me. If you kill me, all the experts of a Human Tao Alliance on my ghost ship will die with me. The black-robed old man fell in a panic after seeing the ghost bead being easily destroyed by the Cosmos Sword Formation. He shouted at Yi Chunfeng. As soon as he finished speaking, several Ghost Clan experts took 8 severely injured men and women to the deck and threatened Yi Chunfeng. Let me go, and I'll hand over these experts of the Human Tao Alliance to you. Otherwise, I'll die with them. The black-robed old man said coldly. You think too highly of yourself. Yi Chunfeng sneered. The soul force in his mind erupted, forming a terrifying dizziness that blasted towards the experts of the Human Tao Alliance. Yi Chunfeng had broken through to the 1-star Tao Lord realm, and his soul had been elevated to the level of a 1-star Tao Lord as well. It wasn't something that these Ghost Clan experts could endure at all. The souls of numerous Ghost Clan experts were forcefully shattered by the dizziness attacks that he'd executed. They wailed in pain and collapsed to the ground while blood flowed out of their 7 orifices. The black-robed old man was terrified when he witnessed how Yi Chunfeng had killed all his subordinates with a single glance. He didn't even hesitate to leave swiftly. Just as he was about to break out of the encirclement and flee, he suddenly noticed that the space before him had been cut off by a mysterious force. In the next moment, a suffocating aura appeared by his side. Die! The black-robed old man roared furiously. He raised his Tao intent to the limit and executed his most powerful attack. He attacked Yi Chunfeng at close range in an attempt to force Yi Chunfeng back. However, the difference in strength between him and Yi Chunfeng was too great. Yi Chunfeng dodged his attack with just a slight movement of his body. He then launched a punch at the black-robed old man's chest, shattering his sternum and smashing the black-robed old man to the deck. Just as he was struggling to get up, there was a blur in front of his eyes. Yi Chunfeng appeared in front of him once again. A sharp sword light shot out from his finger sword and pierced through his heart meridian, crippling all of his Tao power. After that, Yi Chunfeng pressed his right hand against the black-robed old man's head and used the God-Eater brain to search his soul and obtain important information. No, don't kill me. So long as you don't let me go, I'm willing to. The old man hadn't even finished speaking when Yi Chunfeng exerted a slight force with his right hand, crushing the old man's head, crushing his soul, and killing him on the spot. Chapter 1629. Thank you for saving our lives, sir. The experts of the Human Tao Alliance expressed their gratitude and spoke excitedly after witnessing Yi Chunfeng kill the ghoul experts in such a domineering manner. There's no need to be so courteous. Yi Chunfeng smiled. Brother Suda is right outside. I'll bring him up first. With that, Yi Chunfeng formed a huge hand that blotted out the sky and broke through the defenses of the ghost ship, bringing Suda onto the ship. Suda, is this the expert you invited to assist our Human Tao Alliance? The experts of the Human Tao Alliance who had been captured by the ghouls relaxed when they saw Suda and asked, Brother Yi is a friend I met by chance. Suda never expected Yi Chunfeng to be able to take control of the ghost ship. He was filled with admiration for Yi Chunfeng's strength. All right, the Human Tao Alliance is in a very bad situation right now. Let's hurry back with the ghost ship. Yi Chunfeng urged, let's talk on the way back. All right, I'll take control of the ghost ship. An expert of the Human Tao Alliance took control and drove the ghost ship towards the Human Tao Alliance at an extremely fast speed. At this moment, the Human Tao Alliance was suffering from the ferocious attacks of the true demons and ghouls. Several formations outside the Human Tao Alliance had been broken, and they were in a precarious situation. What do we do, Alliance Lord? The enemy is too strong. We're no match for them at all. Why don't we teleport away? A voluptuous and charming woman in robes embroidered with wind patterns entered the hall and spoke anxiously when she sensed that the Human Tao Alliance wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. Sai, do you think the two races will give us a chance to teleport away? Fan Long, the leader of the Human Tao Alliance, who was a one-star Tao Lord, sighed softly. His hair was slightly white, and his face was chiseled like a knife. Alliance Lord, you're saying that they've locked down the space around us? The charming woman's expression changed. Yes, if I remember correctly, the ghost race has a supreme-grade, true spirit artifact that can lock down space. With that, they can lock down the space around our Human Tao Alliance. If we blindly teleport away, we'll fall into their trap and be killed one by one outside. Brahma Dragon nodded. Then what should we do, Alliance Leader? Are we just going to wait for death here? An old man in a yellow Taoist robe who had very few strands of hair on his head and a protruding forehead said in a low voice. Wait. Brahma Dragon took a deep breath. Although we're in a dangerous situation right now, it won't be easy for them to break through the Human Tao Alliance's defensive line. We'll wait for them to expend a lot of energy to break through our defensive line. Then we'll work together to break out. Sai, this is the only way now. The woman and the others sighed softly, worried about the future of the Human Tao Alliance. Days passed. Under the ferocious attacks of the true demons and ghost race experts, the Human Tao Alliance's defensive line continued to crumble. A huge haze enveloped the entire Human Tao Alliance. Although the Human Tao Alliance was in a precarious situation, the human race was unprecedentedly united. A large number of Human Tao Alliance experts sat cross-legged on a huge plaza, waiting for the moment the defensive line was broken so they could fight the true demons and ghost race to the death. Demon Lord True Ninth, based on the current situation, the Human Tao Alliance should have guessed that we've locked down the space around the Human Tao Alliance and given up on teleporting away. They're waiting for the moment the defensive line is broken so they can fight us to the death. A tall man in a long black robe who didn't seem to have a trace of flesh came to a black warship. He found the leader of the true demons in charge of this operation, the 3-star demon Lord Elder True Ninth, and whispered to him, Fight to the death. Elder True Ninth snorted and put away a trace of disdain. With the Human Tao Alliance's strength, what's the point of fighting to the death? Just I alone can kill them all. Elder True Ninth, although the strongest in the Human Tao Alliance, Fan Long, is only a 1-star Tao Lord. The Human Tao Alliance has a history of several hundred years after all. They might be hiding trump cards that we don't know about. It's best if we be careful, said the Ghost Elder cautiously. Don't worry. I've already investigated the Human Tao Alliance's background. They only have a single supreme grade true spirit saint artifact. They're no threat to us at all, said Elder True Ninth. Once I capture Fan Long, I'll make him tell me the location of the Tomb of Great Void, even if he has no teeth. All right. Since Elder True Ninth has made perfect preparations, I'll return and continue ordering the ghost experts to attack with all their might. We'll break through the Human Tao Alliance's defensive line as soon as possible, destroy the Alliance, and capture Fan Long and the others alive. With that, the emaciated Elder Gay Lu left the True Demon's warship and returned to his Spectre ship. He continued to order the ghost experts to attack the Human Tao Alliance's defensive line. Under the ferocious attacks of the two forces, the Human Tao Alliance's defensive line was constantly destroyed. Tremendous vibrations passed through the defensive line and into the Human Tao Alliance, causing the entire alliance to tremble. Just as the Human Tao Alliance's defensive line was about to be destroyed by the experts of the two races, a large number of savage beasts suddenly appeared in the distance. They let out savage roars and charged towards the true demons and specters' warships like madmen. The sudden appearance of the savage beasts forcefully interrupted the attacks of the experts of the two races, forcing them to deal with the savage beasts with all their might. It's the savage beasts. It's Reverend Hundred Man. Senior Brother Jiang has invited Reverend Hundred Man to help. Fan Long and the others saw a trace of hope in their despairing hearts when they saw what was happening outside through the projection mirror. Just as they were about to take advantage of this opportunity to kill their way out, Elder True Ninth suddenly leapt out of the warship. A formation diagram that was carved with a large number of saber runes hovered above his head. It was a supreme grade True Spirit Saint artifact. Myriad Saber Diagram. / Elder True Ninth roared explosively as he utilized his Tao insight to its limits. He controlled the Myriad Saber Diagram to expand incessantly, and it emanated numerous invincible rays of saber light that slashed ferociously towards the terrifying savage beasts like Mercury. Numerous savage beasts were slain by the supreme grade True Spirit Saint artifact, the Myriad Saber Diagram. A large amount of blood sprayed through space and dyed it red. Hundred Man, how dare you interfere in the matters of my True Demon Clan and Spectre Clan? Elder True Ninth locked onto Reverend Hundred Man, who was controlling the Myriad Saber Diagram as he slaughtered the savage beasts. He said, "I won't spare you today." As he spoke, Elder True Ninth swung the Myriad Saber Diagram at Reverend Hundred Man, whose expression had changed slightly. "Shit! Dodge!" Reverend Hundredman's expression changed slightly when he sensed how terrifying the Myriad Saber Diagram was, and he pulled a handsome white-robed man by his side and swiftly dodged to the side. However, he was still struck by the terrifying aftershock of the Myriad Saber Diagram at the instant he dodged, and he was blasted flying while coughing up blood. "Let's go." Reverend Hundredman hadn't expected Elder True Ninth strength to be so terrifying, and he disregarded his injuries and fled with all his might with the white-robed man. "Do you think you can escape?" A ghastly expression appeared in Elder True Ninth's eyes as he summoned a pair of demonic wings and swiftly pursued Reverend Hundred Man and the white-robed man. He was determined to kill them. On the other hand, Reverend Hundredman's escape had dispelled the Human Alliance's thoughts of seizing this opportunity to fight with their lives on the line, and gloominess enveloped the Human Alliance once more. Chapter 1630. Sir Yi, the headquarters of the Human Tao Alliance is right in front of us. Suda stood at the bow of the Spectre ship and pointed at the starry sky. Yi Chunfeng could vaguely make out a huge continent floating in the starry sky. "Someone is flying towards us. Brother Suda, do you know them?" Yi Chunfeng's eyes were like lightning as they pierced through 10,000 meters. He discovered 3 extremely fast figures flying towards him at an extremely fast speed. It's Senior Brother Jiang and Senior Hundred Barbarian. Looking at the 2 figures flying closer and closer, Suda and the others immediately recognized them. "Do you know the person chasing them?" Yi Chunfeng's pupils shrank as he locked on Elder Jinjiu, who was chasing after Reverend Hundred Barbarians. Through the God-Eater brain senses, he discovered that the expert chasing after Reverend Hundred Barbarians was actually a 3-star demon master. They're from the True Demon Tribe. "Sir Yi, please save Senior Brother Jiang and the others." Suda already knew that Yi Chunfeng had single-handedly slaughtered the experts of the Ghost Tribe. He was filled with admiration for Yi Chunfeng's strength and pleaded loudly, "When we fight, try to stay as far away from us as possible. Don't try to help. Leave everything to me." Suda and the others were limited in strength. Yi Chunfeng was afraid that they would be caught in the crossfire and suffer more casualties. As he spoke, Elder Zhan Jiu closed the distance between him and Hundred Barbarian. He controlled the Million Saber Diagram to constantly create powerful saber shadows that slashed through the heavens and the earth. They constantly attacked Hundred Barbarian and Elder Jinjiu, worsening their injuries. "Remember what I said. Try to stay as far away from here as possible." Seeing that Hundred Barbarian and Elder Jinjiu were in danger, Yi Chunfeng reminded them. He summoned his sword wings and flew over with extreme speed. Before a powerful saber light could strike Elder Jinjiu, he blocked in front of Elder Jinjiu and exploded with great strength. He shattered the saber light with a single punch and saved Elder Jinjiu. Who are you?" Elder Jinjiu frowned and asked coldly when he saw Yi Chunfeng shatter the saber light from the million saber diagram with a single punch. The person who will kill you. After he broke through into the one-star Dalord realm, Yi Chunfeng was just about to look for someone to test his strength, and Elder Jinjiu, who was a third-star Devil Lord, was the best candidate. He shouted explosively as he suddenly ignited the primordial blood and 3 saint flames, and he instantly improved his strength to the peak of the second-star Dalord realm. Moreover, his physical strength had also instantly increased by 300 kilograms under the amplification of the primordial blood, surpassing 9 billion kilograms. It was comparable to an ordinary ancestor beast. Leave him to me. All of you, quickly head to the ghost ship in the distance to treat your wounds. Everyone on board is from the Human Tao Alliance. While Yi Chunfeng's strength was rapidly increasing, he transmitted his voice to Reverend Hunter Barbarian and Reverend Hunter Barbarian, who were still in a state of shock. Many thanks. Sensing that Yi Chunfeng's strength was far greater than his own, Reverend by Man relaxed and quickly flew away with the heavily injured man, surnamed Jiang. So you're the Human Alliance's savior. But do you really think you can save us all by yourself? Elder Jiao snorted coldly. He didn't take Yi Chunfeng seriously at all. There's no need for a dead person to worry about whether I can save us or not. As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng erupted with shocking strength. His primordial body grew continuously as he summoned the giant spirit sword that was 10 meters long. It was a supreme-grade, true spirit saint artifact, and it slashed towards Elder Jiao with a force of almost 10 billion kilograms. Elder Jiao suddenly felt suffocated when he sensed the strength that Yi Chunfeng had instantly erupted with. His expression changed slightly, and he immediately controlled the million saber diagram to block in front of him. It transformed into a large number of sabers that slashed towards Yi Chunfeng in layers. Break! Yi Chunfeng's sword shook the sky as he killed mercilessly. The terrifying giant spirit sword carried an invincible aura as it pressed forward, and it constantly tore through the layers of sabers. It stabbed into the million saber diagram, and its terrifying strength forced Elder Jiao to continuously retreat. What a powerful force! Elder Jiao didn't expect Yi Chunfeng's physical body to be so terrifying. He didn't dare to be careless anymore. He instantly ignited his powerful blood chi and used a powerful trump card to increase his strength. He summoned 3 profound Tao diagrams and crazily fused them into the million saber diagram, increasing its offensive power to attack Yi Chunfeng. Ethereal True Extreme Sword. The picture of the 10,000 blades rushed over. Yi Chunfeng instantly fused with the giant spiritual sword, turning into a graceful sword that evolved the Great Tao. It carried with it an ethereal and extreme power. It shattered the blade shadows and ruthlessly slashed at the picture of the 10,000 blades. The power that erupted in an instant shook Elder Jiao once again. True demonic sacred shadow. After experiencing Yi Chunfeng's shocking strength, Elder Jiao immediately transformed into a terrifying demonic shadow. It carried boundless demonic chi as it launched a ferocious attack at Yi Chunfeng. Cosmos Sword Formation Break. The true demonic sacred shadow attacked with billowing demonic chi. Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned the Cosmos Sword Formation, forming a dense rain of swords that cut through the starry sky and attacked the true demonic sacred shadow at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, the extremely powerful true demonic sacred shadow was pierced through by the cosmos swords and disappeared under the starry sky. 108 Supreme Grade True Spirit Holy Swords. Elder Jiao felt uneasy for the first time when he sensed the grades of the cosmos swords. Supreme Grade True Spirit Holy Swords were very precious in the alien battlefield. It wasn't easy to get one, but Yi Chunfeng had more than 100 of them. It was enough to show that his identity wasn't simple. You're an expert from the Human Emperor Palace. Elder Jiao guessed whether Yi Chunfeng was from the Human Emperor Palace, the top human force in the alien battlefield, or from the Void God Realm at the end of the alien battlefield. A dead man doesn't need to know so much. As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng continued to attack Elder Jinjiu with a shocking aura. His terrifying attacks suppressed Elder Jinjiu, making him want to retreat. Fine, fine, fine. Junior, I won't lower myself to your level today, but I'll definitely kill you next time. Elder Zhen Jiu said viciously and wanted to leave quickly. I'm afraid you won't have the chance. As he spoke, a three-legged cauldron appeared on Yi Chunfeng's body. Under his control, it suppressed the heaven and earth and pressed down on Elder Jinjiu. Half-celestial saint weapon. Feeling the destructive aura from the three-legged cauldron, Elder Zhenjiu's expression changed drastically. He immediately summoned several true spirit holy treasures to resist. However, other than the Million Knives painting, the other true spirit holy treasures he summoned weren't of high levels. They couldn't resist the three-legged cauldron's pressure at all. Heaven-grade Sword Soul Destroy. When Elder Jinjiu was suppressed by the three-legged cauldron, the heaven-grade Sword Soul that seemed to nurture heaven and earth broke out of Yi Chunfeng's Sea of Soul. Like a rushing galaxy, it slashed toward Elder Jinjiu viciously. It easily tore through his defense and sent him flying. If Elder Jinjiu didn't have so many life-saving trump cards, the Heaven-grade Sword Soul's attack would have been enough to tear his body apart. Heaven-grade Sword Soul. How can you cultivate a Heaven-grade Sword Soul with your strength? Elder Zhen Jiu knew his stuff. Facing the Heaven-grade Sword Soul's attack, he was scared out of his wits. He immediately burned his powerful Dao core and tried to escape with all his might. Purple lightning break. As Elder Jinjiu was escaping, the half-celestial saint weapon, Purple Lightning, appeared in Yi Chunfeng's hand. He waved his right hand gently, and a bolt of purple lightning tore through the sky. With the power to destroy everything, it struck Elder Zhen Jiu's body, turning him into a bloody mess. He was barely alive. Stun art. Next, the soul power in Yi Chunfeng's mind erupted, forming a terrifying stun power. It struck Elder Zhen Jiu's Sea of Soul, knocking him out. Soul Search. Yi Chunfeng quickly appeared beside the unconscious Elder Jinjiu and grabbed his head. He used the God-Eater brain to search his soul and obtain his memories. Tomb of Great Void. It really is the Tomb of Great Void. Back then, when Yi Chunfeng searched the Ghost Clan Elder's soul, he accidentally found out about the Tomb of Great Void. Now, he also found out about the true Demon Clan from Elder Zhenjiu's soul. The Ghost Clan attacked the Human Dao Alliance because the Human Dao Alliance accidentally found the location of the Tomb of Great Void. Yi Chunfeng happened to have the map of the Tomb of Great Void on him. This made him decide to help the Human Dao Alliance and try to obtain the location of the Tomb of Great Void. Gotcha! After obtaining this important information, Yi Chunfeng slightly exerted force with his right hand and crushed Elder Jinjiu's head, ending his life. He then returned to the ghost ship. Chapter 1631. Thank you for saving our lives, young Master Yi. After witnessing the scene of Yi Chunfeng killing Elder Jinjiu, venerable by man, Elder Jiang, and the others were deeply shocked by Yi Chunfeng's shocking battle prowess. We're all humans, so we should be united against a common enemy. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said, "Let's go. We have to rush to the Human Alliance's rescue. The Human Alliance might be in danger if we're too late. The Human Alliance will definitely repay young Master Ye's kindness." Jiang spoke excitedly. If Yi Chunfeng could kill Elder Jiu with ease, then it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill the sixth elder of the ghost race as well. The Human Alliance's crisis would truly be resolved if they could kill the two of them. At this moment, the pressure on the Human Alliance had lessened greatly thanks to Reverend by man's beasts. However, they only had one last line of defense left, and it could be breached at any moment. A huge haze still hung over the sky above the Human Alliance, causing them to be prepared to fight to the death against the true demons and ghouls. Alliance Master, the last line of defense is about to be breached. Why don't we fight them to the death? The experts of the Human Alliance who were prepared to die spoke loudly. Fan Long took a deep breath and said, "All right, everyone, get ready. We'll work together and kill our way out. Even if we can't break through, We'll drag those bastards down to hell with us. Just as the Human-Dao alliance was prepared to fight to the death with the true demons and ghouls, an extremely fast specter ship appeared behind the two races. Young Master Yi, I'll help you kill those bastards from the other races. Reverend Bai Man had consumed a supreme grade saint pill that Yi Chanfeng had given him and stabilized his injuries, and he took the initiative to offer his services. All right, we'll dye the sky red with the blood of these other races and show the might of the human race. Yi Chanfeng nodded. He summoned his sword wings and flew towards the warship with Reverend Bai Man, who was a 2-star Dao Lord. It's Reverend Bai Man. Why is he back? Where's the 9th Elder? Where's the 9th Elder? Did something happen to the 9th Elder? The experts of the true demons noticed something was off when they saw Reverend Bai Man return, and a trace of unease arose in their hearts. 6th Elder, things might have changed. Something might have happened to the real 9th Elder. The Ghost Clan expert also smelled a trace of unusual aura and reported to Elder Gue Lu, who was in charge of the overall situation. Listen to my order. Mobilize all Spectre ships. Attack those two. Kill them for me. Elder Gue Lu's huge eyes shot out cold light as he loudly ordered. Upon receiving Elder Gue Lu's order, the Spectre ships immediately turned around and fired powerful Spectre cannons at Yi Chunfeng and Huang Xiaolong. The entire starry sky trembled under the bombardment of the Spectre cannons, filling it with crisscrossing cracks. Grand Mist Bloodline Burn. Facing the concentrated attacks of the Spectre cannons, Yi Chunfeng instantly ignited his primordial bloodline and increased his speed to the limit. He weaved tens of thousands of sword shadows to resist the attacks of the Spectre cannons and approached the Spectre ships at an extremely fast speed. Purple lightning, be destroyed. Approaching a ghost ship, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned half of the heavenly holy treasure purple lightning, drained all the golden Tao power in his body, and blasted an attack at the ghost ship in front of him. Kacha! Tens of thousands of purple lightning illuminated the starry sky with a power that could destroy everything, ruthlessly bombarding the ghost ship. The terrifying attack forcibly blasted the ghost ship, instantly killing a large number of ghost experts. Then, the primordial blood instantly replenished Yi Chunfeng's depleted golden Tao power, and Yi Chunfeng bombarded another ghost ship with purple lightning. Under the attack of Yi Chunfeng's purple lightning, one ghost ship after another was destroyed by Yi Chunfeng. The terrifying might of the purple lightning intimidated the true demon race and ghost race experts, making them not dare to approach. They all turned their ships around and distanced themselves from Yi Chunfeng. What a terrifying attack could this person be from the Void God realm? Seeing Yi Chunfeng's astonishing attack power, Reverend Bai Man was truly shocked. Although Yi Chunfeng's realm was one realm lower than his, Yi Chunfeng's battle strength was far superior to his, which made him admire him greatly. Mirror image clone. Yi Chunfeng was afraid that the human alliance would misunderstand, so he didn't summon Mo Ba or the Black Rock Emperor to help him. Instead, he executed a secret technique and created a mirror image of himself. After he'd broken through to the 1-star Delord realm and cultivated his Dao insight to the heaven rank, Yi Chunfeng was able to fully utilize the strongest might of his mirror image clones, and he'd instantly formed 3 mirror image clones. Moreover, the combat strength of these 3 mirror image clones was equivalent to his main body, and they were all 1-star Dao Lords. Kill him. As soon as Yi Chunfeng gave the order, the 3 mirror image clones whistled through the air as they charged towards the ghost ships and true demon race's warships. They engaged in a fierce battle with the ghost and true demon race experts on the warships. Although there were devil lords and ghost lord amongst the ghost and true demon race experts, Yi Chunfeng's 3 mirror image clones were extremely strong. Coupled with Reverend Bai Man's assistance, the experts of the 2 races were constantly losing their lives. How audacious! Who are you? How dare you kill the members of my ghost race? Could it be that you intend to fight to the death with my ghost race? Elder Gue Lu was infuriated when he heard the shrill cries that filled his ears. He rode on a ghost dragon that was over 1 kilometer long and appeared in midair. He glared angrily at Yi Chunfeng, who possessed the strongest combat strength and shouted loudly. Yi Chunfeng grunted coldly and replied with equal harshness. Humph. A tiny ghost race dares to go against my human race? It looks to me like your ghost race isn't far from true annihilation. The ghost race was the weakest amongst the various races. For the sake of survival, the ghost race had always been attached to the devil race. If it wasn't for the devil race's support, then the ghost race would have been annihilated in the torrent of time a long time ago. How stubborn. I'll definitely annihilate you today. As he spoke, the infuriated Elder Gui Lu rode on his ghost dragon and attacked Yi Chunfeng. True Soul Dragon-Seizing Fist. The aggressive ghost dragon, whose strength had almost reached the peak of a 2-star ghost lord, attacked. Yi Chunfeng's body constantly expanded as several Dao intents surged out of his body and revolved above his head. He threw out a punch. Several billion kilograms of strength merged with several heaven-level Dao intents, turning into a series of earth-shaking dragon-seizing fists that shook the enormous body of the ghost dragon. Under the attacks of Yi Chunfeng's True Soul Dragon-Seizing Fist, the ghost dragon's enormous body constantly shattered. The ghost race ability that Elder Gui Lu used was forcefully destroyed by Yi Chunfeng's absolute strength. What kind of physique does this person have? How can his physical strength be so terrifying? Elder Gui Lu never imagined that Yi Chunfeng's battle prowess would be so terrifying. The ghost dragon that was on par with him was unable to withstand Yi Chunfeng's attacks at all. It constantly shattered. His eyes widened in disbelief. Shatter. While Elder Gui Lu was still in shock, the 4 heaven-level Dao diagrams fused into Yi Chunfeng's palms. Yi Chunfeng quickly formed a seal, condensing an extremely powerful celestial seal of heaven and earth. It twisted the starry sky and bombarded the shattered ghost dragon. Boom! The ghost dragon's remnant body trembled and was directly shattered by Yi Chunfeng's celestial seal of heaven and earth. It also forced Elder Gui Lu back. Next, it's your turn. Yi Chunfeng's eyes narrowed. He locked onto the solemn Elder Gui Lu, summoned the Cosmos Sword Array, and attacked him. Chapter 1632. What's going on outside? Why is there such a huge commotion? The Human Dao Alliance experts who'd been prepared to fight the 2 foreign races to the death were surprised when they heard the sounds of Spectre ships and demon warships breaking apart. Activate the mirror. Fan Long's eyes lit up as he ordered. Buzz. Mirror after mirror shone upon the world, projecting images of what was happening outside the Human Dao Alliance. Fan Long's group was overjoyed to see the 4 Yi Chunfengs and 100-man enlightened slaughter of the experts from the 2 races. Human Dao Alliance experts, he my order. Follow me and kill the invaders. Under Fan Long's orders, he led the experts of the Human Dao Alliance out of the shattered defensive line and attacked the experts of the 2 races who had fallen into chaos. A fierce battle ensued. Junior, just you wait. The ghost race will settle this score with you. Elder Gui Lu saw that the situation was completely out of control, and Yi Chunfeng's battle prowess had exceeded his expectations. He decisively abandoned the despairing ghost experts and flew out of the Human Dao Alliance. Do you think you can escape? Yi Chunfeng suddenly sped up the flow of time by 4 times, raising his speed to the peak, and intercepted Elder Gui Lu at an extremely fast speed. In the next moment, the Heaven Sword Soul flew out of his soul sea and turned into a white ray dozens of meters long. It unleashed a boundless sword aura and slashed at Elder Gui Lu. Boom! Elder Gui Lu held a supreme grade True Spirit Saint artifact bone staff above his head to block the Heaven Grade Sword Soul, but the power of the Heaven Grade Sword Soul still pushed him back. A Heaven Sword Soul. Elder Gui Lu's heart was in turmoil after seeing the Sword Soul floating above Yi Chunfeng's head. He decisively ignited his Dao core and continued to break out of the encirclement. Cosmos Sword Formation, Spatial Imprisonment. With a thought from Yi Chunfeng, the 108 Chinquan sword formations flew rapidly and sealed the space in front of Elder Gui Lu, not giving him any chance to escape. Ghost Dragon. With his retreat sealed, Elder Lu immediately used a secret technique to evolve a terrifying Dao will. It turned into a huge ghost dragon and crashed into the Cosmos Sword formation. He wanted to use the power of the ghost dragon to break out of the encirclement. True dragon transformation. When Elder Lu's aged ghost dragon broke through the encirclement, Yi Chunfeng transformed into a ferocious blood dragon and met Elder Lu's ghost dragon. They fought fiercely in midair. The intense battle between the blood dragon and the ghost dragon shocked everyone present. They couldn't believe what was happening in front of them. Could that person be a Dragon Clan expert? Many people were extremely curious about Yi Chunfeng's identity, and the experts from the true Demon Clan and Ghost Clan revealed looks of despair. The Dragon Clan was once the absolute overlord of the Heaven Realm. Now, almost all of the experts of the Dragon Clan had moved to the Void God Realm and opened up a Pure Land in the Void God Realm. If Yi Chunfeng came from the Dragon Clan, then the true Devil Clan and the Ghost Clan could not afford to offend him. You are from the Dragon Clan. The more Elder Lu fought, the more frightened he became. He had no choice but to speak. You're about to die, so you don't need to know who I am. Yi Chunfeng roared and controlled the blood dragon to continuously increase the intensity of its attacks, launching ferocious attacks. The two of them transformed into a blood dragon and a ghost dragon. They fought fiercely for half an incense stick's worth of time and were covered in wounds. However, Yi Chunfeng's physical body was far superior to Elder Lu's. Coupled with his powerful physical strength, he gradually suppressed the ghost dragon's ferocious attacks. Purple lightning. Just as Elder Lu was about to be unable to withstand the blood dragon's attacks and wanted to escape, the blood dragon opened its mouth and spat out a bolt of purple lightning. It struck the ghost dragon's huge body at close range, forcefully shattering part of the ghost dragon's body and forcing Elder Lu back to his true form. Junior, I don't want to kill you. I hope you don't force me. Elder Lu, whose injuries were worsening, angrily threatened. If you have any tricks, use them as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't have a chance. Yi Chunfeng said fearlessly. He returned to his original form. His body expanded and slashed at him with the giant spirit sword in his hand. Good, you forced me to do this. With that, Elder Lu opened his yellow teeth and spat out a yellow ancient scroll. When the ancient scroll opened, it projected several winding ancient runes. Half-transcending heaven's sacred tool, grade ancient runes. Feeling the power of these ancient runes, Yi Chunfeng revealed a trace of surprise. He was surprised by the ghost race's methods. Go die. Elder Lu continued to spit out several mouthfuls of essence blood into the ancient scroll, completely activating the ancient runes. Ancient rune slash. One ancient rune after another became infinitely large and turned into several extremely powerful sword slashes that were like half moons. With a terrifying heavenly power, they broke through the space and slashed towards Yi Chunfeng. Not good, young Master Yi quickly dodged. Reverend Hunter Barbarian's expression changed when he felt the power of the ancient runes. He shouted at Yi Chunfeng, "Let's go." However, facing Elder Lu's killing move, Yi Chunfeng did not dodge. Instead, he held the giant spirit sword in his hand and used all of his strength to meet the attack. Godless sword. Yi Chunfeng stabbed out with his sword. The will of the way he had comprehended reached its peak in an instant. The terrifying sword light swallowed everything, turning the entire space into night. Everything was annihilated as it pierced through the numerous sword slashes of the ancient runes. Suddenly, the entire space was distorted. The two terrifying forces repelled each other and constantly tore the space of the alien battlefield. Heavens, what level of attack is this? It actually caused the space of the alien battlefield to crack. The space of the alien battlefield was even more tenacious than the heaven domain. Ordinary Dao Lords would find it difficult to tear the space of the alien battlefield. However, Yi Chunfeng's attack caused the space to crack. This shocking scene deeply shocked the experts of the Human Dao Alliance. But in the next moment, an even more shocking scene appeared. Under the amplification of the Heaven Sword Spirit, Yi Chunfeng's godless sword's power skyrocketed. It forcibly cut off several extremely powerful ancient rune sword slashes and slashed towards Elder Gui Lu, whose expression changed greatly. Poof! Elder Gui Lu, who couldn't dodge in time, was hit by the residual power of the godless sword. His body's defense immediately shattered, and his skinny body was almost split in half. His strongest trump card was destroyed by Yi Chunfeng. Elder Gui Lu was scared out of his wits. He decisively ignited his Dao core, disregarding his injuries, and fled in a sorry state. Violet lightning extinguish. At this moment, purple lightning appeared in the center of Yi Chunfeng's palm. He launched a palm strike at Elder Gui Lu, who was running away in a panic. A streak of purple lightning tore through the sky and ruthlessly bombarded Elder Gui Lu's body, directly shattering half of his body. Then, under the control of Yi Chunfeng's will, the Heaven Sword Spirit chopped off Elder Gui Lu's head, killing him in one strike. With the death of the strongest Elder Gui Lu, the experts of the true Demon Clan and Ghost Clan were like birds startled by the twang of a bow. They lost their will to fight, and one after another, they abandoned the battleship and tried to flee. Leave your lives here. Yi Chunfeng's ferocious attacks with the Qianquan sword formation swept through the experts of the two races like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. About an hour later, the space outside the Human Dao Alliance was dyed scarlet with the blood of the experts of the two races. Looking at the blood-red sky before them, the experts of the Human Dao Alliance felt like they were dreaming. Even until the end of the battle, they were still somewhat unable to believe that the experts of the true Demon Clan and Ghost Clan who had forced them into a desperate situation had been reduced to ashes in an instant. P.S. Requesting red packets. Chapter 1633. Senior, thank you for saving our lives. The entire Human Dao Alliance is eternally grateful. Although Yi Chunfeng looked young, his strength had convinced everyone present. Fan Long led a group of Human Dao Alliance experts to him and thanked him from the bottom of his heart. Alliance Master Fan is too polite. We're all humans. There's no need to be so polite. Yi Chunfeng smiled, neither haughty nor humble. Alliance Master, this isn't the place to talk. Let's return to the Human Dao Alliance and thank Senior for his kindness. A beautiful woman wearing a phoenix embroidered battle robe walked through the air and smiled seductively. Yes, Senior. Senior by man, please. With that, Fan Long lowered his posture and personally led Yi Chunfeng to the Human Dao Alliance headquarters. The scenery was pretty good, with buildings, palaces, forests, and streams intertwining. Senior, are you from the Void God realm? After witnessing Yi Chunfeng's shocking strength, Fan Long and the others couldn't help but suspect that Yi Chunfeng was from the true core world of the Heaven Domain. No, I'm from the Heaven Domain. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said, I met Brother Suda by chance and learned that the Human Dao Alliance was in trouble. Senior Yi, you've done too much for the Human Dao Alliance. Without you and Senior by man's help, the Human Dao Alliance wouldn't have been able to escape this calamity. I'll give you this brocade box. Fan Long took out a brocade box from his Qianquan ring and handed it to Yi Chunfeng. Gently opening the brocade box, Yi Chunfeng saw a milky white emperor ginseng emitting a dense spiritual aura. Although this white emperor ginseng was extremely valuable, comparable to a supreme grade true spirit sacred pill, Yi Chunfeng didn't lack sacred items of this level. He gently closed the brocade box and placed it on the table beside him. Fan Long saw that Yi Chunfeng didn't accept the Emperor Ginseng and frowned slightly. He whispered, What? Senior Yi doesn't like this Emperor Ginseng? This white jade Emperor Ginseng is good stuff, but I'm more interested in other things. Yi Chunfeng said, Alliance Lord Fan, I won't beat around the bush with you. I'm very interested in the Tomb of the Great Void. I wonder if Alliance Lord Fan can tell me its location? This, Fan Long and the others exchanged glances and hesitated. Alliance Head Fan, the Cosmic Tomb is precious, but do you think the Human Dao Alliance is strong enough to monopolize it? Yi Chunfeng looked at the silent Fan Long and the others and said slowly, If Alliance Lord Fan tells me the secrets of the Great Void Tomb, I promise to enter the tomb and leave a great fortune for the Human Tao Alliance. Really, the Tomb of the Great Void was known as one of the three great tombs of the celestial realm. Though people had entered it throughout history, the number of people who'd come out alive could be counted on one hand. With the Human Tao Alliance's current strength, it would be very difficult for them to obtain the fortune inside. If Yi Chen-feng could leave a fortune for the Alliance, it would establish its foundation. Yi Chen-feng nodded. If Alliance Lord Fan doesn't believe me, I can swear an oath on the heavenly Tao. Senior Yi, can you let us discuss this? We'll give you a satisfactory answer in the time it takes for an incense stick to burn at most, Fan Long said apologetically. No problem, Yi Chen-feng said magnanimously. Take good care, Senior Yi, Fan Long said to an elegant woman who was wearing a black floral embroidered dress. She had a graceful figure, slender legs, and long black hair that casually draped over her shoulders. She had an elegant temperament. Don't worry, Father, I won't neglect Senior Yi, she smiled and said softly. Senior Yi, please have some tea. After Fan Long and the others left, the woman personally poured a cup of tea for Yi Chen-feng. As she bowed, her chest revealed a hint of white, extremely alluring. Many thanks. Yi Chen-feng smiled faintly. There was no trace of surprise in his eyes. He also did not look at the chest of the woman in the Cheongsam. He slowly tasted the spirit tea, as if the spirit tea in his cup was more attractive than the woman before him. Senior Yi, I can sense a strong sword intent from your body. Senior, you're also a sword cultivator, right? Yeah. Or looked at Yi Chen-feng, whose eyes were clear, and bit her lip. Senior Yi, I can feel a strong sword intent from your body. Yi Chen-feng looked at her delicate face and nodded. That's right, I'm a sword cultivator. Although she was very beautiful, Yi Chen-feng had seen too many beauties. In terms of looks, Xiao Wendy was far superior, so Yi Chen-feng wasn't interested in her. Senior, I'm also a sword cultivator, but I'm a little slow-witted. Can you give me some advice? The woman bowed slightly again and poured tea for Yi Chen-feng. She looked at Yi Chen-feng with longing eyes and said coquettishly, If you put away your little tricks and don't use your beauty to seduce me, I can give you some advice. Yi Chen-feng looked at her and said, Thank you, Senior Yi. Two intoxicating blushes appeared on her delicate face. She immediately stood up and said embarrassedly, Tell me about the problems you've encountered in sword cultivation. I'll try to solve them for you. Yi Chen-feng said while drinking the spirit tea. Thank you. The woman in the Cheongsam continued to talk about the problems she had encountered in sword cultivation. Although these problems were profound and difficult to understand, Yi Chen-feng's understanding of sword cultivation was too deep. He explained to the woman in the Cheongsam in detail, which made her feel enlightened. She looked at Yi Chen-feng with reverence. Just as the woman in the Cheongsam was absorbed by Yi Chen-feng's understanding of sword cultivation, Fan Long and the others returned and interrupted Yi Chen-feng and the woman in the Cheongsam. Daddy, why are you back so soon? The woman in the Cheongsam pouted and said with dissatisfaction. Yeah, are you asking for advice from Senior Yi? Fan Long's strength was extraordinary, and he had heard their conversation long ago. He looked at Yi Chen-feng with eyes full of gratitude. Yes, Senior Yi's understanding of sword cultivation is too powerful. Some of the problems I couldn't understand before were solved by Senior Yi in just a few words. The woman in the Cheongsam nodded and said excitedly, Alliance Lord Fan, how did your discussion go? Yi Chen-feng put down the teacup in his hand. Fan Long took a deep breath and said, We are willing to share the secrets of the Taishu tomb with Senior Yi. When the time comes, we hope that Senior Yi will enter the tomb and leave behind an opportunity for the Human Tao Alliance. Yi Chen-feng said, Don't worry, I'll do my best to fulfill my promise. However, the Taishu tomb is too dangerous. I don't know if I'll be able to obtain a great opportunity. Regardless of success or failure, we've decided to work with Sir Yi. Although Yi Chen-feng had saved the Human Tao Alliance, Fan Long and the others valued Yi Chen-feng's potential and identity more. They decided to do him a favor and form a good relationship. Yi Chen-feng smiled and said, I'll do my best to not let Alliance Lord Fan and the others regret this. Senior Yi, this jade slip records the location of the Tomb of the Great Void. However, the space around the Tomb of the Great Void is currently very unstable. According to our analysis, the space around the Tomb of the Great Void will slowly stabilize in about 100 years. That will be the best time to enter. Fan Long handed a jade slip to Yi Chenfeng. Many thanks. Yi Chenfeng sent his soul into the jade slip and memorized the location of the Taishu tomb before putting it away in his universe mirror. Senior Yi, we have another presumptuous request. Fan Long said, we'd like to move the Human Dao Alliance to another location. We'd like to ask Senior Yi to oversee the alliance during this time. No problem. Yi Chenfeng agreed without hesitation. Fan Long was overjoyed and quickly promised, thank you, Senior Yi. We won't let you oversee the alliance for nothing. We'll definitely reward you. There's no need for that, but I'd like to find someone. I'd like to ask Alliance Lord Fan to help me. Yi Chenfeng told him about Ling Yu and the others. Don't worry, Senior Yi. We'll find a way to help you find someone. However, the Human Dao Alliance's abilities are limited. If you can't wait, you can go to Nebula Pavilion in the 100-star sector. That's the place with the most up-to-date information in the entire alien battlefield. Fan Long said, many thanks. Then I'll make a trip to Nebula Pavilion in the 100-star sector. Yi Chenfeng's eyes lit up and he nodded. Senior Yi, can I follow you around for a while? I still have many questions I'd like to ask you. The woman in the Chong Sam begged. Of course. Yi Chenfeng nodded and agreed without hesitation. Chapter 1634. A year later, Fan Long moved the Human Dao Alliance to the deepest part of the alien battlefield, making it impossible for the true demons and the ghost race to find them. After the Human Dao Alliance was completely stabilized, Yi Chenfeng and Fan Long left behind their respective communication formation discs and bid farewell to the others. Then, they boarded a human warship and flew rapidly through the unknown dangers of the alien battlefield. They headed for the 100-star zone, which was the most dangerous star zone in the alien battlefield. The alien battlefield was extremely vast and connected to the Void God world. Yi Chenfeng rode the warship and flew rapidly for several months, gradually approaching the 100-star field, which was made up of countless star continents. During the few months he spent in the 100-star field, Yi Chenfeng hid in the universe realm and cultivated the true spirit saint skills he had grasped in the early stages. At the same time, he consumed numerous high-grade and even supreme-grade true spirit saint pills of immeasurable value to increase his strength. The space has become chaotic. This should be the chaotic star tide around the 100-star field. I'm finally reaching the 100-star field. Sensing the chaotic star tide, Yi Chenfeng woke up from his cultivation. He left the universe realm and appeared on the warship. Through the thin restriction of the warship, he looked at the starry sky, filled with Xingluo in the distance. What a beautiful starry sky. I didn't expect the alien battlefield to have such beautiful scenery. Yi Chenfeng was deeply attracted by the beautiful scenery in the distance. He woke Xia Wendy up from her cultivation and sent her out of the universe realm. So beautiful. Chenfeng, what's in front of us? Xia Wendy's eyes were filled with infatuation. She grabbed Yi Chenfeng's arm and said excitedly, the 100-star field is in front of us. Looking at Xia Wendy's charming face, Yi Chenfeng said with a faint smile, the 100-star field is so beautiful. I've never seen such a beautiful starry sky. Xia Wendy couldn't help but lean her head on Yi Chenfeng's arm, intoxicated by the beautiful starry sky. The warship flew rapidly in the chaotic star tide, getting closer and closer to the 100-star field. Meteor tide. Near the edge of the 100-star domain, Yi Chenfeng encountered the most dangerous meteor tide. According to Brahma Dragon, if one wanted to enter the 100-star domain, they had to pass through the meteor tide. Without the strength of a Dao Lord, the chances of passing through the tide of meteorites were extremely low. Even an ordinary Dao Lord might lose their life in the tide of meteorites if they were unlucky. Matsi, do you want to test your present combat strength? Yi Chenfeng said with a faint smile as he watched the distant tide of meteorites rapidly approaching. Who's afraid of you? Xiao and Dai, who had cultivated to the 3-star Dao Emperor realm, was filled with fighting spirit. She held the supreme grade True Spirit Saint artifact, the Phoenix Dance Saber, and had the semi-transcending Saint artifact, the White Bell, floating above her head. She stood side by side, with Yi Chunfeng on the bow of the ship, welcoming the powerful meteors that contained hundreds of millions of gene of force. Break! Xiao Wendy shouted. The Tao intent in her body was deduced to the extreme. She fiercely attacked with the Phoenix Dance Saber, activating the tool rune on the Phoenix Dance Saber. It transformed into a lifelike true phoenix that spread its wings and flew high, constantly shattering the meteors. As for Yi Chunfeng, he didn't use any weapons. Instead, he relied on his powerful body to fiercely attack, shattering the remaining meteors one by one. Yi Chunfeng and Xia Wendy stood on the bow of the ship. The more they fought, the more ferocious they became. They shattered the meteor tide like a hot knife through butter, forcibly tearing open a safe passage. After attacking for an unknown amount of time, large amounts of sweat appeared on Xia Wendy's forehead. Just as she was about to lose her stamina, Yi Chunfeng fused all the Dao energy in his body together and blasted out a Dao diagram. It directly exploded the meteors and penetrated several miles of the meteor tide. This allowed the warship to smoothly pass through the meteor tide and enter the 100-star field. However, not long after they entered the 100-star sector, Yi Chunfeng discovered that 2 warships with red skull flags and huge skulls embedded in the hull appeared in the distance. These warships surrounded them as they sped towards them at high speed. I didn't expect to encounter trouble so quickly. Yi Chunfeng's eyes revealed a trace of ruthlessness. Through the skull heads, he guessed that the people on the warships should be from the ghost race. Yi Chunfeng didn't have a trace of pity for the other races. If the ghost race didn't know what was good for them and provoked him, Yi Chunfeng wouldn't show any mercy. Boom! 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 When Yi Chunfeng's warship approached the 2 skeletal warships, it was suddenly attacked by the skeletal warships. A large number of energy cannons constantly bombarded Yi Chunfeng's warship, causing the entire warship to violently tremble. You're courting death. Yi Chunfeng teleported Xia Wendy into the universe mirror and used a divine ability secret technique to create a divine ability mirror image. He faced the large number of energy cannons and flew towards the 2 skeletal warships. You don't even have a ghost lord and you dare to provoke me? You're really tired of living. Yi Chunfeng ignored the attacks of the skeletal warships and summoned several heaven-level Dao diagrams. He quickly formed hand seals and condensed them into an extremely powerful giant hand seal that contained the power of the heavens and the earth. It was filled with destructive power as it bombarded one of the skeletal warships. Boom! After being attacked by Yi Chunfeng's Heaven and Earth Star Seal, the skeletal warship's defenses immediately shattered. The terrifying Star Seal easily crushed the ship and annihilated the ghost race experts on it. Yi Chunfeng's mirror image was even more ruthless. It directly flew into the skeletal warships and began a frenzied slaughter. Under the bloodbath of Yi Chunfeng and the mirror image clone, the 2 skeletal warships were quickly destroyed. Only a few Ghost Clan experts managed to escape the mirror image clone's attack during the chaos. The others all died at the hands of Yi Chunfeng and the mirror image clone. Blood Skeleton. When Yi Chunfeng had destroyed the skeletal warship and killed the ghoul experts, he had performed a soul search on one of the ghost emperors and learned that they were subordinates of the Blood Skull. The Blood Skull was from the ghoul race, and was a peak expert who was 1 step away from becoming a 4-star Ghost Lord. Although there was a huge gap between Yi Chunfeng and the Blood Skeleton, he had too many trump cards. This was especially true for the primal Chaos Divine Wood, which was constantly growing. It had become his greatest trump card, allowing him to face the Blood Skeleton without fear. After plundering everyone's belongings, Yi Chunfeng returned to the warship and continued to fly towards the core star continent of the 100-star domain. However, the 100-star domain was too big. After several days of interstellar flight, they were still too far away from the star continent where Nebula Pavilion was. When the sky was dark, Yi Chen-feng steered the warship into a star continent called Purple Yuan Star. He planned to rest here for a few days and tour the Purple Yuan Star continent before continuing on his journey. So many experts. After flying into the biggest city of the Purple Yuan Star continent, Purple Yuan Star City, the two saw that this place was much more prosperous than the Heaven Domain. There were pavilions and courtyards on both sides of the streets, inns, and shops that looked ancient. The streets were filled with experts. Tao Emperor experts that were rarely seen in the Heaven Domain could be seen everywhere here. Even the Overlord-level experts of the Heaven Domain, Tao Masters, could be seen on the streets. After walking for a short distance, Yi Chen-feng and Xiao Wandi turned into a very noisy street. On both sides of the street were brothels that made men forget to return. Many gorgeously dressed women wearing thin gauze stood on the street, showing off their bodies to the passers-by, attracting their interest. You men are all bad things. Looking at the scene on the street, Xiao Wandi pouted her little nose and said with disdain, "Do you want me to give you a break and let you go in and relax? Forget about those vulgar women. However, I'm interested in having a romantic time with Great Beauty Xia. I wonder if Great Beauty Xia will do me the honor?" Yi Chen-feng said with a smile. "In your dreams." The corners of Xiao Wandi's mouth rose slightly, forming a charming arc. She took the initiative to hold Yi Chen-feng's arm and walked with him through the street that was filled with the fragrance of women. They found an inn that was built under a green mountain and had a good view to rest. "Little Yi, the night is long. Do you need this lady to comfort your lonely heart?" Xiao Wandi stood outside Yi Chen-feng's room. Her long hair fluttered as she said in a charming voice, "Okay, I can't ask for more," Yi Chen-feng said as he looked at Xiao Wandi's ridiculously beautiful face. "Go to hell, stinking rogue." Xiao Wandi's face instantly changed. She rolled her eyes at Yi Chen-feng and left with a series of clear smiles. Chapter 16:35. Early in the morning, the gentle sunlight shone in through the window, waking Yi Chen-feng from his cultivation. "Little mosquito, stop sleeping in. The sun is already shining on your butt." As the two spent more time together, their relationship grew closer and closer, and their tacit understanding grew. Yi Chen-feng stood outside Xiao Wendi's room and joked, "Little Yi, did you dream of me last night?" Xiao Wendi, who was dressed in a white floral dress and looked even more beautiful than a fairy, opened the door. She stretched lazily, revealing her beautiful curves. "All right, stop showing off. Let's go out and see if there are any supreme-grade, true spirit holy swords for sale." In order to increase the power of the universe sword array, Yi Chen-feng was prepared to spend a large amount of money on supreme-grade, true spirit holy swords. Although he was clear on the value of supreme-grade, true spirit holy swords, after continuously killing demon masters and sky masters, Yi Chen-feng had a large amount of high-grade and supreme-grade heaven crystals, as well as supreme-grade true spirit holy artifacts, enough for him to purchase and exchange for supreme-grade true spirit holy swords. Star Treasure Pavilion. Come, let's go in and take a look. Yi Chen-feng and Xiao Wendi strolled around the Purple Yuan Star City for a while and discovered a 5-story building. It was built in an ancient style, and it was shrouded in the light of restrictions. Yi Chen-feng and Xiao Wendi walked in. "The two of you, may I ask what you wish to buy?" Yi Chen-feng did not hide his cultivation. When he walked into the Astral Treasure Pavilion, a tall and slender woman wearing a black qipao walked over with a faint smile. She gave off a faint fragrance and asked politely, "What is your cultivation?" "I wish to buy a supreme-grade, true spirit holy sword. Does your pavilion have any?" Yi Chen-feng said in front of everyone. "Hua." The moment Yi Chen-feng finished speaking, he immediately attracted a lot of gazes. All of them were directed at him. Even the woman in the qipao revealed a look of surprise. She couldn't help secretly sizing up Yi Chen-feng. A supreme-grade, true, spirit, holy artifact was extremely valuable. It could be used as a clan's most precious treasure. Without a certain amount of wealth and status, it was impossible to buy one. "Young master, Do you really want to buy a top-grade, true spirit saint sword? The Cheongsam woman took a deep breath, suppressing the shock in her heart, and asked softly. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, Yes, does your esteemed pavilion have it? My Star Treasure Pavilion does have 3 top-quality, true spirit saint swords, but those 3 swords are the treasures of my Star Treasure Pavilion. We only trade for items and do not sell them directly. The Chi Pao woman said, All right, then I'll take out something of the same value and exchange it with you for those 3 top-quality true spirit holy swords. Yi Chunfeng said very straightforwardly, Young master, young miss, please come in. Hearing Yi Chunfeng's rich and overbearing tone, the woman in the Cheongsam did not dare to be negligent. She personally led them through the teleportation array and arrived at the 5th floor of the Star Treasure Pavilion. It was an elegant room with a faint orchid fragrance and was shrouded in layers of restrictions. The woman in Cheongsam poured 2 cups of fragrant spirit tea for Yi Chunfeng and his companion, and said softly, Young master, I wonder if you can let me take a look at the treasure that young master is going to trade? Sure. Yi Chunfeng nodded and summoned a long spear, a long halberd, and a long staff with a black snake coiled around it from the universe mirror. These 3 weapons were all top-quality, true Spirit Saint artifacts. I wonder how these 3 treasures are. Yi Chunfeng handed the 3 treasures to the woman in Cheongsam for her to appraise. If I'm not wrong, these 3 treasures are top-quality, true Spirit Saint artifacts refined by the Tian clan. The woman in Cheongsam carefully appraised the 3 treasures, and her eyes lit up as she said, That's right. These 3 treasures are indeed treasures refined by my Tian clan. However, I cultivate the way of the sword, so these 3 treasures are not of much use to me. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, I wonder if these 3 treasures can be exchanged for your pavilion's 3 top-quality true Spirit Saint swords. These 3 top-quality true Spirit Saint artifacts are indeed of good quality, but if young master really wants to exchange them for my Star Treasure Pavilion's 3 treasures, you'll need to take out another 1,000,000 high-quality heaven crystals. The woman in Cheongsam returned the 3 treasures to Yi Chunfeng and said softly, Deal. Yi Chunfeng's sword puppet had been destroyed by Tianji Dao, so the heaven crystals were no longer of any use to him, so he readily agreed. Young master is indeed a forthright person. I will bring my Star Treasure Pavilion's 3 treasures for young master. With that, the woman in Cheongsam left and went to the treasure room to retrieve the treasures. After a while, the woman in Cheongsam returned to the side room. In her hands, there were 3 exceptionally sharp 6-foot-long swords that were sealed with layers of restrictions lying in silence. Young master, these 3 swords are my Star Treasure Pavilion's treasures. I wonder if young master is satisfied. Because the Star Treasure Pavilion's restrictions were extremely powerful, the woman in Cheongsam was not afraid of accidents. She removed the restrictions and handed the 3 true Spirit Saint swords to Yi Chunfeng. Not bad, not bad. I want these 3 top-quality true Spirit Saint swords. With that, Yi Chunfeng handed the 3 top-quality true Spirit Saint swords and a universe ring with 1,000,000 high-grade heaven crystals to the woman in Cheongsam, exchanging for the 3 top-quality true Spirit Saint swords. In addition to the top-quality true Spirit Saint swords that he had obtained from killing enemies earlier, Yi Chunfeng had a total of 143 top-quality true Spirit Saint swords, further increasing the power of the universe sword formation. Young master, do you still need to buy any other treasures? Seeing Yi Chunfeng's wealth, the woman in Cheongsam's smile became even wider as she asked in a gentle voice, Does your Star Treasure Pavilion have any ancient items? I'm more interested in ancient items. Yi Chunfeng asked. Of course we do. I will bring young master and young miss to the ancient treasure pavilion. The woman in Cheongsam said enthusiastically. She brought Yi Chunfeng and the woman out of the room and through a mysterious teleportation array. They arrived at an ancient pavilion that was sealed with a powerful restriction. Walking into the ancient pavilion that was filled with the vicissitudes of time, Yi Chunfeng closed his eyes and controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly deduce, looking for an ancient item that could resonate with the God-Eater brain. And What kind of branch is this? Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to sense at once. In the end, he cast his gaze on a branch that was half a meter tall. It was completely black and looked ordinary, but it was filled with an ancient aura. After staring at it for a while, he picked up the branch. How much is this branch? Yi Chunfeng pulled the branch in front of the woman in Cheongsam and asked softly. This branch came from ancient times and is over 10 million years old. If young master really wants to buy it, you only need to give me 10,000 top-quality heaven crystals. The woman in Cheongsam glanced at the branch in Yi Chunfeng's hand and said slowly, 10,000 top-quality heaven crystals. Xiao Wendy drew a cold gasp and said, Chunfeng, look carefully. Is this branch worth the price? Although Xiao Wendy knew that Yi Chunfeng was rich, she did not wish for Yi Chunfeng to be a sucker, so she reminded him, regardless of whether it is worth it or not, I want to buy it and study it. With that said, Yi Chunfeng took out another universe ring and handed it to the woman in Cheongsam. This ancient branch is young master's. The woman in Cheongsam counted the top-quality heaven crystals in the universe ring and said with a charming voice. She then sold the ancient branch to Yi Chunfeng. After making 2 big deals, the woman in Cheongsam was in a good mood. If it wasn't for Xiao Wendy being so beautiful, she would have thrown herself into her arms. Let's go, Matzi. Let's return. With that said, Yi Chunfeng did not stay in the Astral Treasure Pavilion for long. He left the Astral Treasure Pavilion with Xiao Wendy and returned to the inn. Chapter 1636. Chunfeng, what is so special about this tree? After returning to the inn, Xiao Wendy saw that Yi Chunfeng had immediately brought her back into the universe realm. She felt that this ancient tree that Yi Chunfeng had spent a large amount of money to buy was not simple. I can't say for sure now. Let me study it a bit. Yi Chunfeng took out the tree branch that had caused the God-Eater brain to vibrate and began to carefully examine it. The God-devouring brain, which was rapidly deducing, seeped into every corner of this ancient tree. Finally, Yi Chunfeng's gaze focused on a piece of bark. A sharp blade shot out, and he cut off this piece of bark that was the size of a fingernail. Next, Yi Chunfeng spat out the heaven-burning sacred flame and melted this bark, burning this tree branch that he had spent 10,000 top-grade heavenly crystals to ashes. What's wrong, Chunfeng? Did you make a mistake? Watching Yi Chunfeng burn the ancient tree branch to ashes, Xiao Wendy, who was standing guard at the side, softly asked. No, the ancient tree branch itself has no value. Its value lies in this bark. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and took out the fingernail-sized piece of bark that he had just cut off. What is so special about this bark? Xiao Wendy released her powerful soul force and penetrated the bark, but she couldn't find the value of this piece of bark. You will know in a moment. Saying that, Yi Chunfeng took out a drop of rootless water and soaked the bark in it. Next, a small flame ignited in Yi Chunfeng's palm and slowly heated the rootless water, allowing it to quickly penetrate the bark. About 2 hours later, the temperature of the rootless water continued to rise. Streaks of blood appeared in the rootless water, dyeing it red. What a pure bloodline power! Could this bark contain the essence blood of a great character? Feeling the pure bloodline power from the rootless water, Xiao Wendy's eyes widened as she spoke in shock. If I'm not wrong, what's hidden in this bark is not blood essence, but more precious heart blood. Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile. Although he could not tell what level of effort this was, he knew that the 10,000 heavenly crystals he had spent were well worth it. One must know that the grade of a heart's blood far surpassed that of blood essence. Every drop lost would cause immeasurable damage to the body. If the heart's blood was transplanted into the body, there is a high chance that it would form a powerful bloodline in the body and transform the body. About 2 days later, the bark that was soaked in the rootless water had completely melted, dyeing the rootless water blood red. Not bad, not bad. Our harvest this time is great. If I'm not wrong, the blood hidden in the ancient tree is the blood of an ancestor. There are more than 20 drops. Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to sense the dense bloodline power of the blood heart in the rootless water. Then, he revealed a faint smile. Ancestor level heart blood. Xiao Wendy knew that the ancestor was an existence second only to the nihility god in the entire universe. He had the ability to penetrate the heavens and the earth. The value of the heart blood he left behind was immeasurable. If it were spread to the outside world, people would probably use ascended artifacts to exchange for it. Come on, Matsi, take off your clothes. Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile as he looked at the dumbfounded Xia Wendy, who had fallen into a daze. You, what do you want to do? I'm not ready. Xia Wendy's expression froze as she met Yi Chunfeng's eyes. Two intoxicating blushes suddenly appeared on her delicate face. Matsi, what are you thinking about all day long? I asked you to take off your clothes because I'm prepared to rub this ancestor-level heart blood on your body for you to absorb and raise the bloodline level in your body. Yi Chunfeng could not help but be attracted by Xia Wendy's beautiful face. He revealed a faint smile as he looked at her. That's right, Xia Wendy said. You want to give this ancestor-level heart blood to me? Xia Wendy asked with widened eyes. Yes, although this ancestor-level heart blood is precious, it's like chicken ribs to me. It's almost useless. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, and the star god bloodline in your body is too thin. If you were to fuse with this ancestral-level heart's blood, it would greatly improve the flaw of your bloodline's grade being too low, allowing you to walk further on the path of cultivation. Chunfeng, thank you. You've given me too much, Xia Wendy said emotionally. Well, there's no need to be so polite between us. Yi Chunfeng looked at Xia Wendy's flickering eyes and said with a faint smile, turn your back to me and take off your clothes. I'll help you fuse this ancestor-level heart blood into your acupuncture points and help you absorb the bloodline that has undergone a qualitative change. Okay. The beautiful Xia Wendy nodded and sat with her back facing Yi Chunfeng. She stretched out her slender fingers and slowly undid the buttons on her white dress, taking off the clothes on her upper body. When the white dress slid down Xia Wendy's milk-like skin to her waist, her voluptuous twin peaks were exposed to the air. With Yi Chunfeng's eyesight, he could clearly see two beautiful lumps of locusts, a smooth back, and a slender waist that was as slender as a willow tree. Maybe it was because she felt Yi Chunfeng's eyes staring at her smooth back, but Xia Wendy's heart seemed to be hiding a fawn that was beating wildly. And on the surface of her white skin, a faint pink color appeared. Matsi, are you ready? I'll begin fusing the ancestor-level heart blood into your acupuncture points. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and cleared his mind of distracting thoughts. He sucked the 5 drops of ancestor-level heart blood into his fingertips and pressed them on Xia Wendy's smooth back. Feeling a numbing sensation on her back, the blush on Xia Wendy's face deepened. But at the next moment, she felt a powerful bloodline power erupt in her body. She hurriedly circulated the powerful True Spirit sacred technique and absorbed it with all her might, changing the star god bloodline in her body qualitatively. Sensing that Xia Wendy's meridians were being torn apart by the ancestor-level heart blood, large amounts of blood were seeping out of her pores. Yi Chunfeng hurriedly pressed his right hand on her smooth back, using the primordial chaos blood to suppress the ancestor-level heart blood. Although the ancestor-level heart blood was powerful, it was still an insurmountable gap compared to the number 1 bloodline in the universe, the primordial chaos blood. Under the suppression of the primordial chaos blood, Xia Wendy's body recovered and the rampaging ancestor-level heart blood gradually calmed down. In about 3 days, Xia Wendy had absorbed 5 drops of ancestor-level heart blood, causing the star god bloodline in her body to undergo a tremendous change. Sensing that the ancestor-level heart blood in Xia Wendy's 5 acupuncture points had disappeared, Yi Chunfeng repeated the same trick. He fused the 5 drops of ancestor-level heart blood into her body, continuing to change her star god bloodline. Very quickly, 10 days passed. In these 10 days, Xia Wendy had absorbed 23 drops of ancestor-level heart blood, causing the star god bloodline in her body to undergo a qualitative leap, transforming into the star ancestor bloodline. Under the nourishment of the ancestral blood essence, her physical body and cultivation level had undergone a heaven-shaking transformation. Her physical strength alone had exceeded 2 billion kilograms, and her cultivation level had reached the peak of the 4-star Tao Emperor realm. She was only a step away from becoming a 5-star Tao Emperor. Not bad, not bad. Our efforts were not in vain. After fusing with these 20 drops of ancestor-level heart blood and transforming your bloodline, your strength has increased by dozens of times. With the help of the Phoenix Dance Saber and White Bell, you can kill a 6-star Tao Emperor expert. Sensing the changes in Xiao Wendy's body, Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile. He very considerately helped her put on her blood-stained dress and softly said, "Chunfeng, thank you." The emotional Xia Wendy turned around and looked lovingly at Yi Chunfeng, who had given her so much help. Suddenly, Xia Wendy stood on her tiptoes and stretched out her white and tender arms, wrapping them around Yi Chunfeng's neck and fiercely kissed him. A kiss was a vow of love. Remember URL. Sandwich Chinese Network. Chapter 1637. Early in the morning, Yi Chunfeng, who was in high spirits, left the inn with Xia Wendy, who was glowing and emitting a faint fragrance. They were preparing to leave the purple Garden Star City and continue flying towards the largest star continent in the 100-star sector. After that kiss, although the two of them did not go any further, their relationship was pulled closer and closer. The moment they stepped onto the warship, Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. "What's wrong, Chunfeng?" Xia Wendy asked softly when she sensed that Yi Chunfeng's expression was a little strange. "Nothing, let's go." Yi Chunfeng shook his head and piloted the warship away from the purple Garden Star City, heading towards the largest star continent in the 100-star sector. Yi Chunfeng's warship flew in the boundless starry sky for more than 2 hours. Suddenly, 5 extremely fast warships sailed towards them. Following that, several warships appeared from 3 other directions and surrounded Yi Chunfeng's warship. Blood Skull War Flag. When Yi Chunfeng saw the Blood Skull's war flags hanging on the dozen or so warships, he knew who had come to seek revenge. "Matsi, remember to take care of yourself during the fierce battle," Yi Chunfeng sternly exhorted. "Don't worry, Chunfeng. With the sword puppet protecting me, I won't be afraid even if I face a ghost lord." Yi Chunfeng's sword puppet had been destroyed, but Xia Wendy's sword puppet was still there. After fusing with a large number of supreme-grade heaven crystals, the sword puppet's strength had reached the pinnacle of a 6-star Tao Emperor. It could definitely fight against a Lord-class Tao Emperor. "Human Jr., how dare you destroy my warship and kill my subordinates? You must be tired of living." After the dozen or so warships surrounded Yi Chunfeng's warship, a ferocious voice rang out in the starry sky, intimidating everyone. The next moment, hundreds of ghost race experts with terrifying auras flew out of the warships and hovered in the starry sky, locking onto Yi Chunfeng and Xia Wendy. "You must be the blood skeleton." When Yi Chunfeng saw a skinny man wearing a blood-red robe, with long red hair fluttering in the wind, and a vicious look in his eyes, who was 1 step away from becoming a 4-star Ghost Lord, Yi Chunfeng guessed his identity and asked calmly, "That's right, it's me." The bloody skeleton nodded and said proudly, "Human Jr., when you reincarnate, remember to open your eyes. There are some people you can't afford to offend. There are indeed many big shots in this world that I can't afford to offend, but unfortunately, that doesn't include you." Although the Blood Skull was very strong, Yi Chunfeng's strength was no longer what it used to be. In addition, he had too many heaven-defying trump cards. A mere Blood Skull was not a threat to him. "You're so stubborn. Let's see if you'll still be so stubborn after I capture you." As he spoke, monstrous force erupted from the blood skeleton's skinny body, and it was like a surging wave that smashed towards Yi Chunfeng's warship and shook it to the point it swayed violently. "Demon Ba, Black Rock Emperor, Hundun, Dragon Bloodline, come out." With a command in his heart, Yi Chunfeng summoned his 4 helpers from the universe mirror. In the next moment, he ignited his formidable primordial blood and 3 Saint Flames to forcefully improve his strength to the peak of the 2nd-star Dalord realm. "Blood Skeleton, allow me to experience your strength. I hope you won't disappoint me." Even though Yi Chunfeng had improved his strength to its peak, he was still a realm weaker than the blood skeleton. However, his formidable physical strength completely made up for the gap in their strengths. He took a step forward, and he carried a suffocating physical strength as he charged into the starry sky and forcefully dispersed the terrifying, imposing aura emanated by the blood skeleton. When Yi Chunfeng charged towards the blood skeleton, the Black Rock Emperor and Demon Ba summoned their strongest treasures and charged towards the blood skeleton subordinates. On the other hand, Xiao Wendy and the sword puppet stood guard on the warship and killed all the enemies that approached it. Die. The blood skeleton watched as Yi Chunfeng flapped his wings and flew towards him. His hands moved swiftly, and he struck out with an extremely powerful blood seal that dyed the starry sky red. It was like a huge mouth that swallowed Yi Chunfeng whole. Heaven-ranked sword soul. Break. A white light flashed in Yi Chunfeng's sea of soul, and the heaven-level sword spirit flew out, turning into a divine sword that was dozens of feet long. It rolled up the starry sky, and the will of the great path fell. With one sword, it cut through the blood seal of the bloody skull, breaking his attack. A heaven-ranked sword soul. The blood skeleton's eyes opened wide when he saw the heaven-ranked sword soul that destroyed his attack, and he revealed a surprised expression. While he was still shocked by Yi Chunfeng's attainments in Sword Dao, his eyes widened even further and almost fell out of their sockets. He was shocked to see more than 140 supreme-grade, true spirit saint swords fly out of Yi Chunfeng's body and condense into an extremely powerful cosmos sword formation above his head. When the heaven-grade sword spirit merged with the cosmos sword formation, the battleships that came out of the sword formation intimidated everything. CK, where did this guy come from? How can he have so many supreme-grade, true saint swords? The blood skeleton knew the value of supreme-grade, true saint swords. Even he didn't have many of them. This made him feel that Yi Chunfeng's identity was not simple. However, the blood skeleton was extremely envious of Yi Chunfeng's treasures. Not only did he not show any fear, but he also revealed a strong killing intent. He wanted to kill Yi Chunfeng and take everything he had. Skeletal blood staff destroy. The blood skeleton opened his mouth and spat out his biggest trump card, the skeletal blood staff, which was a semi-transcendent saint artifact. Glaring red light flowed around it as it attacked Yi Chunfeng. A mere semi-transcendent saint artifact gives you so much confidence. Yi Chunfeng snorted coldly and controlled the Cosmos Sword Array to turn into a dense rain of swords to meet the skeletal blood skeleton. Chi! After a series of ear-piercing sounds, the Cosmos Sword Array, which was as powerful as a low-grade transcendent saint artifact, knocked back the skeletal blood staff and flew towards the blood skeleton. Skeletal puppet. The blood skeleton's expression changed slightly. He summoned the skeletal puppet that he had spent a lot of effort to refine and used it to block the attack of the Cosmos Sword Array. Cosmos Sword Array, Cosmos Strike. While the three skeletal puppets were going head-on against the Cosmos Sword Array, Yi Chunfeng commanded the Cosmos Sword Array to merge together, and it transformed into an enormous Cosmos Sword that was a few tens of meters long and emanated boundless Tao insight. The starry sky shook violently as the terrifying Cosmos Sword directly left behind a deep mark in the starry sky, and it carried terrifying force as it slashed apart the three skeletal puppets that were resisting it with all their might and pushed the blood skeleton back. How could this be possible? How could he be so strong? Monstrous waves arose in the blood skeleton's heart when he witnessed Yi Chunfeng's combat strength. He was unable to believe that Yi Chunfeng, who was just a one-star Tao Lord, could actually erupt with such shocking combat strength. Blood skeleton, your strength is only so. After he destroyed the blood skeleton's attacks successively, Yi Chunfeng seized the opportunity to pursue the blood skeleton. He ceaselessly executed formidable, true spirit saint techniques that shook the starry sky in an area of a few kilometers as he ferociously attacked the blood skeleton and completely suppressed the blood skeleton's attacks. Even though the blood skeleton had relied on the strength of a peak 3-star Downlord and the might of the skeletal bloodstaff to resist Yi Chunfeng's attacks that were like tide waters, the blood skeleton's consumption of energy was gradually decreasing. However, as time passed, the blood skeleton's energy consumption began to increase, and Yi Chunfeng gradually suppressed it. Boundless 3-foot sword, while the blood skeleton gritted his teeth and went head-on against the Cosmos Strike. Yi Chunfeng's figure was ceaselessly growing in size. He held the colossal soul sword in his hand as he slashed out a 3-foot-long divine sword that was formed from the boundless Grand Tao. It illuminated the entire starry sky like the Milky Way that flowed in reverse, and it directly slashed the blood skeleton flying while leaving behind a large amount of blood mist in midair. Remember the URL. Sandwich Chinese Network. Chapter 1638. Yi Chunfeng heavily injured the Blood Skull with his absolute strength. The Demon Ba and the Black Rock Emperor also had the absolute advantage and were crazily slaughtering the Blood Skull subordinates. 8th Chinese Network? Soon, more than half of the 100 or so Ghost Clan experts that the Blood Skull had brought with him had been killed. The Blood Skull's only 1-star Ghost Overlord was pierced through the body by Mo Chi's Blue Spear, which was a quasi-transcendent saint artifact. Human Jr., just you wait. This Ghost Lord will definitely have his revenge. Never in his wildest dreams would the Blood Skeleton have imagined that the casualties on his side would be so severe. Furthermore, he was severely injured by Yi Chunfeng, whose cultivation was far inferior to his. This made him want to retreat, to break out of the encirclement and escape. Purple lightning. Just as the Blood Skull was about to escape, the purple lightning appeared in Yi Chunfeng's palm. When Yi Chunfeng channeled all of his golden Tao energy into the purple lightning, a bolt of lightning streaked across the sky. With endless destructive power, it slashed towards the Blood Skull, whose expression changed drastically. Feeling the terrifying power of the purple lightning, the Blood Skull continuously took out his life-saving trump cards to defend himself. However, the purple lightning's offensive power was simply too terrifying. The terrifying purple lightning shattered the Blood Skull's defensive trump card as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. The Blood Skull was brutally struck by the purple lightning, sending him flying away. Half of his body was badly mutilated. 3-legged sacred cauldron suppressed the heavens and earth. After controlling the purple lightning to heavily injure the Blood Skull, Yi Chunfeng followed up with another attack. He summoned another half-transcendent saint artifact and suppressed the Blood Skull's body, not giving him a chance to escape. Human Jr., you can't kill me. At this critical moment, a mini-cave dwelling appeared in the heavily injured Blood Skull's body. With a thought, he hid inside the cave dwelling. A mere portable cave dwelling can't save you. With that, Yi Chunfeng revealed his natal treasure, the Chaos Divine Wood. Under his control, the Chaos Divine Wood grew larger and larger. Its 5-colored treetops swayed, interweaving with rays of light of the 5 elements as it viciously lashed at the Blood Skull's portable cave abode. Although the level of the Blood Skull's cave abode was not low, and its defensive power was comparable to a quasi-transcendent saint artifact, the Chaos Divine Wood's offensive power had surpassed that of an ordinary low-grade transcendent saint artifact. Under the Chaos Divine Wood's relentless attacks, cracks began to appear on the Blood Skull's portable cave abode, and the interior of the cave abode began to shake violently. Even though the Blood Skull had consumed several true Spirit Saint pills in a row, it was impossible for him to heal himself. Damn it, could it be that this kid is from the Human Emperor Palace? Why are his treasures getting stronger and stronger? Sensing that the defense of his cave abode was constantly being shattered by the Chaos Divine Wood, he started to panic. If the defense of his cave abode was broken, he would be in danger. Just as he was feeling uneasy and trying to think of a way to escape, the terrifying Chaos Divine Wood ruthlessly smashed a large hole in his cave abode. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng's body flashed and entered the cave abode. He saw the Blood Skull's expression change drastically. "Sir, I think this is all a misunderstanding. If you are willing to let me go, I am willing to tell you a secret. After experiencing how terrifying Yi Chunfeng was, the Blood Skull no longer had the courage from before. His tone was also much weaker. Misty Sword Codex, Misty Sword of the Great Way. Yi Chunfeng did not care about the Blood Skull at all. Holding the giant spiritual sword in his hand, he performed the most powerful move of the Misty Sword Codex that he had just comprehended and slashed at the Blood Skull. As the sword slashed out, the terrifying sword ray turned into an invincible sword Dao. The sword Dao was filled with countless sword rays, and it was terrifying. Poof! The Blood Skull's numerous trump cards were shattered by Yi Chunfeng's Misty Sword of the Great Way. The terrifying sword ray ruthlessly slashed at the Blood Skull's skinny body, breaking through his defense and sending him flying. Cave Abode Power, suppress him. Even though the Blood Skull was heavily injured, he continued to mobilize the Cave Abode's power to suppress Yi Chunfeng. However, under the protection of the Chaos Divine Wood, the Cave Abode's power that surged in from all directions was constantly shattered. It could not affect Yi Chunfeng at all. Blood Skull, I will give you a chance to live now. Submit to me, and I will spare your life. The alien battlefield was too big. He needed someone who was familiar with the alien battlefield, and the Blood Skull in front of him was the best candidate. Impossible. I will not submit to anyone. The Blood Skull replied unyieldingly. I am afraid that is not up to you. As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng put away the giant spiritual sword. Under the protection of the Chaos Divine Wood, he burst out with his strongest power and attacked the Blood Skull. The Blood Skull had been heavily injured, and his battle strength had been greatly reduced. He could not withstand Yi Chunfeng's ferocious physical strength at all. He was repeatedly blasted away by Yi Chunfeng's power, which was close to 10 billion pounds. While Yi Chunfeng was heavily injuring the Blood Skull and tormenting his willpower, the Black Rock Emperor and the Demon Ba had killed almost 2/3 of the Blood Skull's subordinates. A thick bloody aura dyed the Void Red. Stun Art. When the Chaos Divine Wood appeared behind Yi Chunfeng and blasted the Blood Skull, who was at the end of his rope, away with all his strength, the soul power in his mind exploded, forming a powerful stun art. It ruthlessly bombarded the Blood Skull's soul sea, severely injuring his soul. The Blood Skull's willpower had been greatly reduced after being repeatedly injured. Now that he was hit by the stun art, his soul was riddled with holes, and a large amount of blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. Three-legged Saint Cauldron, suppress. In order to prevent the blood skeleton from self-destructing, Yi Chunfeng controlled the three-legged Saint Cauldron to smash down on the blood skeleton's head when his soul was heavily injured. The blood skeleton couldn't dodge in time, directly injuring his soul and knocking him unconscious. Soul Devourer's Brain, Soul Devourer. Then, Yi Chunfeng took out a ball of Soul Devourer's brain, opened the Blood Skull's bleeding mouth, and stuffed it in, allowing the Soul Devourer's consciousness. The Blood Skull's soul was severely injured, and he could not resist the Soul Devourer's brain's invasion. Gradually, his brain was corroded by the Soul Devourer's brain, and a connection was established between him and Yi Chunfeng. While Yi Chunfeng was controlling the Blood Skull's consciousness with the Soul Devourer's brain, the Black Rock Emperor and the Demon Ba killed a large number of enemies. Soon, more than a dozen of the Blood Skull's subordinates fled in panic, not daring to face the Black Rock Emperor and the others. Satisfying, this is too satisfying. The Chaos Divine Beast stood under the blood-red starry sky and shouted loudly, as if announcing his return. The Black Rock Emperor also revealed a look of excitement. Right now, he was enjoying his days with Yi Chunfeng. He felt that this was his favorite way of cultivation. About an hour later, the Blood Skull gradually woke up from his coma. Because his consciousness was controlled by the Soul Devourer's brain, when he looked at Yi Chunfeng, a trace of confusion appeared in his eyes. Yi Chunfeng looked at the Blood Skull, who was in a daze, and said indifferently, "Blood Skull, follow me from now on. As long as you are loyal to me, I can help you break through to the 4-star Ghost Lord realm in 3 years." Really? The Blood Skull's eyes widened, and he asked in disbelief, Take a look at this. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng took out a petal of the chaos lotus. What pure spirituality! The blood skull's eyes widened in shock when it sensed the pure energy emanating from the chaos lotus flower's petals. This is the petal of the chaos lotus. It's enough for you to take the last step and break through to the 4-star Ghost Lord realm. However, you have just submitted to me and have not made any contributions yet. Therefore, this petal does not belong to you yet. Yi Chunfeng said, "All right, I'll reserve this petal." The blood skull took a deep breath and said, "If you have any orders in the future, I'll obey them. Now, tell me the secret you know." Yi Chunfeng ordered. P.S. Everyone, please add me on WeChat. If there are more than 10,000 people, I'll update. WeChat public number, Y1TY83. Chapter 1639. The secret I know isn't some great opportunity, but an ancient teleportation formation that leads to the Void God realm. Bloodskull said honestly, "Tell me the location of the ancient teleportation formation." Yi Chunfeng raised his eyebrows and rejoiced inwardly. Although the heaven territory was vast, his true goal was the Void God realm because his father Yi Wuji and wife Yi Nikang were both in the Void God realm. The ancient teleportation formation is in the 100-star sector. Bloodskull told Yi Chunfeng the location of the ancient teleportation formation. "All right, put away your cave dwelling and come with me." After speaking, Yi Chunfeng led Bloodskull out of the cave dwelling and into the blood-dyed space. He landed on the warship guarded by Xiao Wendy and the sword puppet. "Young Master Yi, these are all the spoils of war." Black Rock Emperor took out the spoils of war and handed them to Yi Chunfeng. "Bloodskull is one of us from now on," Yi Chunfeng said slowly as he put away the large amount of spoils. After speaking, he sent Black Rock Emperor, Demon Ba, and the 2 sacred beasts back into the universe realm and had Bloodskull drive the warship to the Grand Star continent. Bloodskull was very familiar with the 100-star sector and steered the warship to avoid all kinds of dangers. Soon, they entered the Grand Star continent, the largest star continent in the 100-star sector. "Bloodskull, do you know where Nebula Pavilion is?" Yi Chunfeng asked as he flew down the warship. "Young Master Yi, you want to go to Nebula Pavilion to gather information?" Bloodskull asked. "Yes, I need to borrow Nebula Pavilion's power to find someone." Yi Chunfeng nodded. "Nebula Pavilion has many branches in the Grand Star continent. I will take young Master Yi to the nearest branch to gather information." After speaking, Bloodskull, who was very familiar with the Grand Star continent, led Yi Chunfeng and Xiao Wendy to a huge city built in the Grand Star continent, Falling Star City. About half a day later, Yi Chunfeng and the others arrived at Meteor City. Following the bustling crowd, they walked into a city with different architectural styles. The buildings were grayish-brown in color and gave off a depressing feeling. "Why are all the buildings in Starfall City this color?" Yi Chunfeng asked in confusion as he looked at the grayish-brown buildings on both sides of the street. The Bloodskull explained, "That's because the Falling Star City used to be a city of war in ancient times. Wars broke out all year round, and the buildings there were often dyed red with blood. Over time, the buildings in the Falling Star City turned grayish-brown to cover up the blood and scars. So that's how it is." Yi Chunfeng nodded and followed the Bloodskull through the straight roads at an extremely fast speed. When it was close to evening, they arrived at Nebula Pavilion, which had an extremely exaggerated appearance. It looked like an enormous nebula that was enveloped by a powerful restriction. "Young Master Yi, Nebula Pavilion has an unwritten rule. Normally, only those who buy or sell information are allowed to enter. Unrelated people are not allowed to enter. Miss Xia and I will wait for you outside." Bloodskull said, "All right, Matsi, you and Bloodskull wait for me here. I'll be right back." After speaking, Yi Chunfeng stepped on a flight of stairs made of white jade, passed through a thin layer of restrictions, and entered Nebula Pavilion. "Sir, are you here to buy information or sell information?" Just as Yi Chunfeng walked into the dim Nebula Pavilion, a low voice entered his ears and asked without a trace of emotion, "I'm here to buy information." Yi Chunfeng stood straight, and said in a tone that was neither arrogant nor humble. Before you buy information, you need to pay 30,000 supreme-grade heaven crystals as a deposit, the low voice said. Okay. Yi Chunfeng took out a universe ring and threw it into the dim depths of Nebula Pavilion. Come in, the low voice said. After passing through a long corridor, the light in front of Yi Chunfeng's eyes suddenly lit up. Yi Chunfeng saw a white-haired old woman holding a dragon-headed walking stick sitting on an armchair and looking at him. A 6-star Dao Lord expert. Yi Chunfeng's pupils constricted when he saw the white-haired old woman before him, and he revealed a trace of surprise. He didn't expect that he would actually see a 6-star Dao Lord expert in Nebula Pavilion. It was extremely rare to see an expert of this level in the Heaven Domain. It was enough to show that the overall strength of the alien battlefield far surpassed the Heaven Domain. What information do you want to buy? The white-haired old woman secretly sized up Yi Chunfeng and said coldly, I want to inquire about the whereabouts of a few people and information about the ancestral pill. Yi Chunfeng said slowly, the price of these 2 pieces of information isn't cheap. Especially the information about the ancestral pill. It's even more precious. You have to think carefully. Once you buy the information, Nebula Pavilion won't refund you regardless of whether you succeed or fail, the white-haired old woman said. Understand. Yi Chunfeng nodded. These 2 pieces of information cost 10 million supreme-grade heaven crystals, the white-haired old woman said. 10 million supreme-grade heaven crystals. Even though Yi Chunfeng guessed that Nebula Pavilion's fees would be very high, he didn't expect it to be so outrageous. Moreover, when he ascended to the Heaven Domain and killed many mighty figures, he was quite rich. He had practically used all the supreme-grade heaven crystals he had to pay for these 2 pieces of information. Who do you want to inquire about? The white-haired old woman put away the 10 million supreme-grade heaven crystals and asked slowly, I want to inquire about a man, a woman, and a fire Qilin who ascended to the alien battlefield a few years ago. Yi Chunfeng told the white-haired old woman in detail about the spirit fish and the others. Good. The information you provided is very detailed. As long as they are still in the alien battlefield, Nebula Pavilion will do its best to help you find them. The white-haired old woman said. As for the information about the ancestral pill, we will also help you find it. How long will Senior need to give me an accurate answer? Yi Chunfeng asked. 3 months is enough. The white-haired old woman said. Good, then I'll come back in 3 months. After saying this, Yi Chunfeng didn't hesitate and turned to leave Nebula Pavilion. He met up with Xiao Wendy and Bloodskull outside Nebula Pavilion. Just as he walked out of Nebula Pavilion, Yi Chunfeng discovered that Bloodskull was in conflict with someone, and Xiao Wendy's face was red with anger. What's wrong? What happened? Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly and asked in a low voice. Young Master Yi, these bastards don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. They dare to take liberties with Miss Xia. Why don't you let me kill them? Bloodskull reported. How dare you? We are from the Sky Vault race. If you dare to harm us, I guarantee that the Sky Vault race will not let you off. The 2 men from the Sky Vault race who were afraid of Bloodskull's strength warned loudly. Sky Vault race is nothing. Yi Chunfeng coldly snorted. A heavenly illusory Dao diagram appeared in his deep eyes, shooting out endless illusory power that broke into the 2 men's soul seas and took control of their minds for a short period of time. In the next moment, the 2 men from the Sky Vault race suddenly launched a sure-kill attack at each other. Their sharp weapons pierced into each other's bodies, piercing through each other's heart veins and ending their lives. Let's go. Yi Chunfeng coldly glanced at the 2 experts of the Sky Vault race who were lying in a pool of blood, painfully begging for help. Then, he left with Xiao Wendy and Bloodskull. Bloodskull, we need to stay here for about 3 months. Is there any place we can visit in Meteorite City? Yi Chunfeng asked as he walked. The scene just now did not affect him at all. Yes, the most famous place in Meteorite City is the Ancestral Street that has been passed down since ancient times. Many big shots of the 100-star field like to set up stalls to buy and sell treasures on the Ancestral Street. There are even more people who like to find ancestral items on the Ancestral Street, Bloodskull said. If I remember correctly, the Ancestral Street will open in a month. All right, when the Ancestral Street opens, let's go shopping. Yi Chen-feng nodded. He was very interested in the Ancestral Street that was about to open. He rented a courtyard and meteorite pavilion and waited for the Ancestral Street to open. Very soon, a month had passed. On the day the Ancestral Street opened, many big shots came to Meteorite City. The entire city became unprecedentedly lively. Yi Chen-feng's group also left the courtyard early. Under Bloodskull's lead, they went to the Ancestral Street that had a long history. Chapter 1640. How bustling. Yi Chen-feng's group of 3 passed through the open restrictions and walked into the bustling Ancestral Street. They noticed that it was unprecedentedly bustling because many great figures that were rarely seen in the Heaven territory had set up stalls to trade treasures. Bloodskull, is there anything to take note of when trading treasures on Ancestral Street? Yi Chen-feng asked via voice transmission. All the people who trade treasures on Ancestral Street are great figures, and they don't attach much importance to Heaven crystals. So, they usually like to trade treasures. So long as you're able to produce something they like, then you'll be able to trade for the treasure in their possession. Bloodskull replied via voice transmission. All right, I understand. Let's take a look. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Chen-feng's group of 3 started strolling idly on Ancestral Street, and they glanced at the treasures on the stalls of some great figures that concealed their identities. As they walked, Yi Chen-feng stopped at a stall with few people, and his gaze stopped on a fist-sized and completely dark rock. I'm rather interested in this rock. May I know what you're looking for? Yi Chen-feng controlled the God-Eater brain to sense the dark rock repeatedly, and then he asked slowly as he gazed at the old man who wore a straw hat, and had eyes that seemed to be closed. I obtained this black stone from the soul-perishing cave in the depths of the 100-star region. There is a terrifying soul sealed in the stone. If you want it, you only need to give me 1.5 sky-piercing sage pellet. The old man in the woven rush raincoat said as he opened his eyes slightly and glanced at Yi Chen-feng. All right, deal. Yi Chen-feng nodded, and then he withdrew a half-Skirich divine pill from his universe ring and passed it to the old man. Yes, the quality of this half-Skirich divine pill isn't bad. This soul stone is yours. The old man inspected the half-Skirich divine pill that Yi Chen-feng passed to him, and then he revealed a satisfied expression as he said, However, Junior, let me remind you that the soul sealed within this soul stone is extremely terrifying. Even with my strength at the 5-star Downlord realm, I don't dare to refine and absorb it. Thank you for your warning, Senior. I'll be careful. Yi Chen-feng smiled and put this soul stone into his universe mirror before continuing his stroll down the Ancestral Street. During this time, Yi Chen-feng saw several treasures in Ancestral Street. However, because the owner of the treasure needed something too rare, Yi Chen-feng didn't have it at all. In the end, he could only miss it. What is this? Just as Yi Chen-feng and his group were about to reach the end of Ancestral Street, Yi Chen-feng found a piece of rusty treasure fragment the size of a palm in a stall. It had no patterns on its surface. Although the treasure fragment looked ordinary, the God-Eater brain resonated with it. It made Yi Chen-feng slowly walk over and ask for the price. How do I trade my treasure fragments? Yi Chen-feng asked as he gently stroked the rusty treasure fragment. A half-transcendent saint artifact. A man in a gray robe with white hair and a clear scar at the corner of his, I said coldly. Oomph. You want to trade for a half-transcendent saint artifact with this treasure fragment? Bloodskull grunted coldly. The scarred man glanced coldly at Bloodskull and spoke impatiently. Take it if you don't want it. Move aside if you don't. I really like this treasure fragment. I'll take it. Right when Yi Chen-feng was about to withdraw his aqua blue spear and trade for the treasure fragment, a discordant voice resounded. A 5-star Heaven Lord wearing a gorgeous robe, a crown on his head, and a pair of python-scaled boots slowly walked over. He was a 5-star Heaven Lord. Moreover, a half-transcendent saint artifact sword was floating in his hand. Yi Chen-feng glanced coldly at him and said, I took a fancy to this treasure fragment first. You can fight for it if I don't want it. The man glanced coldly at Yi Chanfeng, who was a one-star Tao Lord, and spoke with disdain. You have a half-transcendent saint artifact? I realize that you are very boring. Yi Chanfeng shook his head and took out the half-transcendent sacred artifact, Blue Long Spear. Yi Chanfeng asked in a low voice, May I know if this spear can be exchanged for your treasure fragment? Yes. The scarred man glanced at the sword in the man's hand, and then he glanced at the blue spear in Yi Chanfeng's hand. He liked the blue spear even more. Wait, I'll add another 3 top-grade true spirit saint artifacts in exchange for your treasure fragment. The man frowned slightly and withdrew another 3 top-grade true spirit saint artifacts to increase the price. The scarred man spoke coldly. I'm not interested in top-grade true spirit saint artifacts. It's useless no matter how much you add. All right, this treasure fragment is yours. The scarred man didn't hesitate at all. He tossed the treasure fragment to Yi Chanfeng in exchange for the blue spear in Yi Chanfeng's hand. Do you know that you're making a loss? Even though a half-transcendent saint artifact is very precious, there's an enormous gap in value when compared to a transcendent saint artifact fragment. Not to mention that this treasure fragment of yours is a defensive transcendent saint artifact fragment. If it's fused into an armor, then it'll greatly improve the armor's defenses. When he noticed that the trade had failed, the man spoke in an extremely despicable manner about the treasure fragment's value. The treasure fragment is his. You can speak with him if you have anything to say. It has nothing to do with me anymore. The scarred man glanced at the treasure fragment, and he didn't have any intention to go back on his word. He took the other treasures on the stall and left. Don't think that everyone is as despicable and shameless as you. There are many people who are trustworthy. Yi Chanfeng gazed at the man who had a livid expression and said, However, if you're willing to give me a mid-grade transcendent saint artifact, then perhaps I'll give this treasure fragment to you. Brat, don't get too cocky. We'll see. The man suppressed his anger and left behind a ruthless remark before turning and leaving. Let's go as well. Let's walk around the ancestral street again. Even though he had lost the aqua blue spear and a half-transcendent saint pill, Yi Chanfeng was quite satisfied with the 2 items he had obtained. He pulled Xia Wendy and walked around the ancestral street again with a blood skull. When he arrived at the center of the ancestral street, he saw that the man had chosen a dark gold piece of wood that exuded a faint royal aura and was bargaining with someone. This 9 royal wood isn't worth a half-transcendent saint pill. I have 3 supreme grade true spirit saint pills here. I wonder if you'd like to trade with me? The man took out 3 supreme grade true spirit saint pills of extremely high quality. The white-robed old man glanced at the 3 supreme grade true spirit saint pills in the man's hand and hesitated. I have a half-transcendent saint pill here. I'll trade with you. Just as the white-robed old man was tempted, Yi Chanfeng took out a half-transcendent saint pill and said, I saw this 9 sovereign wood first. Could it be that you want to snatch it from me? The man in luxurious robes said angrily when he saw Yi Chanfeng coming to cause trouble. Why are you angry? Yi Chanfeng smiled and said, I want to snatch it from you. What can you do about it? Okay, deal. Seeing the half-transcendent saint pill in Yi Chanfeng's hand, the white-robed old man's eyes lit up. He was afraid that Yi Chanfeng would go back on his word and trade the 9 royal wood to Yi Chanfeng. Wait, I also have a half-transcendent saint pill. The man didn't expect that such a great opportunity would be snatched away by Yi Chanfeng and said angrily, Sorry, this 9 royal wood is already mine. You bought it too late. After saying that, Yi Chanfeng smiled and put the 9 emperor wood into the cosmos mirror in front of the man in luxurious robes. Then, under his furious gaze, he turned around and left. Chapter 1641. Yi Chanfeng sets up a stall, page 1/1. Young Master Yi. That person is very strong. He's probably a 5-star heaven lord. We're no match for him. Bloodskull could sense that the man in luxurious robes was far stronger than himself, so he warned Yi Chun. I know, but once we leave this place, he won't be a threat. Yi Chanfeng smiled confidently. With the Cosmos realm, he wasn't afraid of the man in luxurious robes killing him. Let's go. We'll find a deserted stall and set up a stall. After walking around, Yi Chanfeng did not see anything else that caught his eye. So, he went to an empty stall and took out some of the extremely valuable items he had obtained over the years that he had no use for. Then, he placed them on the stall and waited for customers. "Young Master Yi, what grade of beast teeth, claws, and hides are these?" Feeling the terrifying aura coming from the demonic beast materials that Yi Chunfeng took out, the blood skull widened his eyes and asked in shock. "These are materials I cut off from the corpses of 2 mid-grade ancestral beasts," Yi Chunfeng slowly said. "Mid-grade ancestral beasts." The blood skull sucked in a breath of cold air. Ancestral beasts were very rare, even in the alien battlefield, and Bloodskull knew just how terrifying mid-grade ancestral beasts were. He had once encountered a mid-grade ancestral beast in the past. If he hadn't been so lucky, he would have become a dead soul in its mouth. "Young Master Yi, you're selling the Chaos Lotus Petals as well?" Bloodskull's heart tightened when he saw Yi Chunfeng take out the Chaos Lotus Petals and hurriedly asked, "Don't worry, I have quite a few of these Chaos Lotus Petals. As long as you're loyal to me, I won't shortchange you." Yi Chunfeng smiled. As soon as Yi Chunfeng placed the items he wanted to sell on the stall, a woman in a colorful dress with a pale face and a cold aura walked over. She was accompanied by 2 old men. "This is the life-severing ancestral root." The woman in the colorful dress gently picked up the dragon-shaped life-severing ancestral root and examined it. "That's right. This is the life-severing ancestral root." Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, "However, your injuries are too severe. You have injured your life foundation. I'm afraid that the life-severing ancestral root alone will not be able to heal your injuries." "You can feel that I'm injured?" The woman in the colorful dress frowned slightly and asked in a low voice. "Yes." Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, "Moreover, I have another item that can be used with this life-severing ancestral root to heal the heavy injuries in your body and expel the cold energy, allowing you to recover your peak strength." As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng took out a fire spirit's sacred fruit that was over 10 million years old. Fire spirit's fruit. The woman's eyes lit up with joy. The 2 old men who came with her also showed faint joy. "This isn't just a fire spirit's sacred fruit. It's a fire spirit's sacred fruit that's over 10 million years old." Yi Chunfeng said calmly. "Tell me, what do you want?" The woman in the colorful dress suppressed the excitement in her heart and asked, "A healing ancestral pill," said Yi Chunfeng. "You're joking, right?" Even though the fire spirit's sacred fruit and the life-severing ancestral root are precious, they can't compare to an ancestral pill. Not to mention that would I be interested in them if I had an ancestral pill? The woman in the colorful dress thought that Yi Chunfeng was playing tricks on her, and she spoke with slight annoyance. "How about this? Miss, can you take out your items for me to take a look at? I'll make an exchange with you if there's something I like." Yi Chunfeng pondered deeply for a moment before he spoke. "All right." The woman in the colorful dress nodded. She took out a lot of valuable items from her cave residence and let them float in the air. In an instant, the people on Ancestral Street were deeply attracted by the treasures she withdrew, right when they intended to approach her. An imposing aura that shook the heavens and the earth erupted from the 2 old men that came with the woman, and it terrified the people in the surroundings to the point of retreating successively and not daring to approach them. Peak 6 starred Downlord Realm experts. When he sensed the strengths of the 2 old men, Yi Chunfeng couldn't help but take another glance at the woman, and he noticed the symbols on her clothes that represented her status. "We'll make an exchange. You can choose any 2 treasures from the treasures I've withdrawn." The woman spoke heroically. "All right." Yi Chunfeng nodded, and then he stared at the treasures before controlling the God-Eater brain to deduce and sense the true state of the treasures. "What's this?" Yi Chunfeng's pupils constricted, and he couldn't help but look at a simple pearl that didn't have a single stripe on its surface. Even with the formidable strength of the God-Eater brain, it was still unable to sense the true state of this pearl. "I obtained this pearl by chance, but I haven't unraveled its secrets. However, there's one thing I'm sure of. This pearl isn't simple." The woman spoke slowly. "All right, I'll take this pearl and the Blood King's silkworm ginseng." Yi Chunfeng chose 2 treasures from the woman's treasures, and then he gave the fire spirits sacred fruit and the life-severing ancestral root to her. Elders, let's go. After finding the items to heal her injuries, the woman in the colorful dress didn't stay for long, and she turned around to leave. Wait. At this moment, Yi Chen-feng suddenly called out to her. What's the matter? The woman in the colorful dress frowned slightly and asked unhappily. Miss, aren't you going to exchange for my Chaos Void Lotus Petal? If you recover from your injuries and refine this Chaos Void Lotus Petal, you might be able to break through to the Tao God realm in a short period of time. Yi Chen-feng wasn't angry when he met the woman's cold eyes, and he transmitted his voice. Chaos Void Lotus Petal. The woman in the colorful dress's eyes lit up, and she looked at the Chaos Void Lotus Petal. She knew about the Chaos Void Lotus Petal, and she was even more aware of its effects. If the petal that Yi Chen-feng was selling was really from the Chaos Void Lotus Petal, it would definitely be of great help to her in breaking through to the Tao God realm. I'll take this Chaos Void Lotus Petal. What do you want? The woman in the colorful dress carefully identified the Chaos Void Lotus Petal, and she could sense the chaos energy contained within the petal. She was able to discern its authenticity, and she spoke indifferently. May I know if you have the Tao Insight Fruit? Yi Chen-feng pondered for a moment and asked, How do you know that I have the Tao Insight Fruit? The woman in the colorful dress's expression changed slightly, and her cold eyes shot out rays of cold light, as though she wanted to see through Yi Chen-feng. Miss, please don't misunderstand. My friend has a connate constitution, and I'm asking for the Tao Insight Fruit for her. I didn't know that you have it. Yi Chen-feng explained when he felt the hostility in the woman's eyes. All right, I'll exchange with you. Although the Tao Insight Fruit was very precious, as long as she could step into the Tao God realm, the woman in the colorful dress was willing to pay any price. After hesitating for a moment, she took out a brocade box from her portable cave abode and handed it to Yi Chen-feng. When Yi Chen-feng opened the brocade box, a powerful Tao Insight energy immediately emanated from the brocade box. Matzi, this Tao Insight Fruit is for you. After making the deal with the woman in the colorful dress, Yi Chen-feng gave the invaluable Tao Insight Fruit to Xiao Wendy. Young master, look at their clothes. They might be from Nition Palace. Blood Skull transmitted a message after the woman in the colorful dress and the others left. Yes, I know. Yi Chen-feng had devoured many powerful people's soul memories, so he knew quite a bit about Nition Palace, the second most powerful force in the alien battlefield. He had already identified the woman in the colorful dress and the other two through the symbols on their clothes. However, Yi Chen-feng had no intention of befriending Nition Palace. He only wanted to trade for the item he wanted and improve his strength as soon as possible so that he could deal with any trouble and danger he might encounter at any time.